The season may be winding down, but the intensity is heating up in the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship. Joao Barbosa and Christian Fittipaldi fought their way back into the prototype points lead after a thrilling win at Indy and another dust-up with brothers Ricky and Jordan Taylor. And with the run to the championship in full stride, the pushing and shoving is far from over. Corvette Racing has been on their game all season, including a string of 4 straight victories in GTLM, but SRT Motorsports narrowed the points lead with a win at the Brickyard. In Prototype Challenge, John Bennett and Colin Brown have been a machine in 2014, but RSR Racing had an impressive 1-2 finish at Indy, and GT Daytona has one of the tightest races of all, with the top 7 teams separated by a mere 21 points. With only 4 races remaining, disaster lurks around every corner, especially at a track like Road America. Championships aren't won by the timid, and neither are races here. It's time to add to 6 decades of racing history in Wisconsin. The TUDOR Championship is next on Fox Sports. Welcome to Fox Sports coverage of the Continental Tire Road Race Showcase from historic Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Round 9 of the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship is next. Now, Road America truly is an iconic circuit. As you look at the fans gathered on the front straightaway, a little less than 10 minutes to the drop of the green. Glad you could join us. I'm Brian Till, along with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader, 2 guys who certainly know how to go fast here at Road America. Now, coming into round 9 this weekend, 3 of the 4 class championships in the TUDOR Series very much up for grabs. And guys, anytime you have a close championship points battle, season winding down, you've got to be assured that no one is going to want to give an inch on the racetrack.
Absolutely, Brian. Now, coming off a brilliant win at Indianapolis, the number 5 Action Express team have retaken the lead in this championship. How they did it that day, just superb execution of their fuel management strategy, really surprised everyone, particularly their competition. But one thing I've noticed this year is that their starting driver, Christian Fittipaldi, has been really aggressive in these opening laps. Looking back a month ago, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, you can see him there trading paint with Ricky Taylor going down the front straightaway. Fast forward a couple of weeks, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Christian right in the middle of the mix there, ultimately turns Jackman around, probably lucky to escape a penalty that day, but he continued on and led the race at the end of lap 1. Now, the big question is, 3 races to go in this championship, Dorsey. Do they change their approach or do they stay aggressive?
Well, adding to that aggressive list, you might as well put in the pole sitter. Ryan Dial got the pole along with Scott Sharp, and they are in a P2 configured prototype car. And what we've seen is these cars are hard to get up to speed, particularly on starts and restarts. The lighter weight makes the tires difficult. It puts them in a position where they have to be aggressive. And with that, it's like adding fuel to a fire.
It's going to be a good one, that is for sure. For more on the prototype class, here's Chris Neville.
Well, Brian, it's been almost 8 months since we started the season at Daytona, and with just 3 races to go in prototype, 24 points, splitting our top 5 and just 2 points separating our top 2 in this championship. And when you look at wins, Ganassi and Action Express both have multiple wins this year. All the other contenders, just 1 win on the season. So with 3 races to go, do you get aggressive and go for the wins, or do you play it conservative and just go for some consistent finishes?
It's going to be a fun end of the season, and hopefully we can win Petit Le Mans and win the championship.
We've got to keep everything clean, but we can be maybe a little bit more aggressive now than we have been in the last few races.
We won the last 2 races last year. We got 3 races to go this year, so hopefully we can keep that trend going.
We're not leading the points, so that takes a little pressure off. So now the pressure's all on Action, so they really can't make any mistakes because we're not going to.
Competition is very fierce right now, and I think it's going to come down to the wire.
2 points is nothing. Anything can happen, and the best way to protect our lead is to win another race.
Well, when you look at qualifying, ESM number 1 up in that number 1 spot, and all the other contenders in the top 5. But the number 90, they qualified 2nd. They're 3rd in this championship. But because of a rules infraction post-qualifying tech, they're starting in the back today. Brian?
Thanks, Chris. From Prototype, we'll go to Prototype Challenge. Now, in the number 54, Colin Brown, John Bennett, they lead the championship. Look back there in 4th. 09 of Duncan Indy, Bruno Junqueira. That RSR Racing team had a great run here in qualifying. Bruno Junqueira placing the 09 on the pole. And for RSR Racing, they had a 1-2 finish the last time out at Indianapolis, and that was a much-needed shot in the arm for that team.
It's been a really rough season. We've totaled 2 race cars, done $400,000 worth of damage, and had led a lot of laps but not gotten a win. So Indy was really fulfilling as a team owner to the drivers, a new driver with us, Jack Oxworth, And to everybody who works at RSR, you know, when you go home every week, there's 1 winner and 9 losers in our class. It's misery to the next race to get another chance to win. So the good thing has been the last 2 weeks for us, we're winners until Sunday afternoon.
Let's turn our attention from prototypes to GT Le Mans. Calvin?
Well, you see Garcia and Magnussen continue to lead on the back of winning 4 consecutive wins this year, but the team with momentum is the number 93. They've gone 3-2-1 the last 3 races. With that Indy win now, sit only 13 points back in the championship. For more on GTLM, let's go down to Jamie Howe.
Corvette Racing streak of 4 consecutive wins ended in Indianapolis when Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia were finished off of the podium in 4th place. But the win did go to the American muscle in the form of the SRT Viper of Jonathan Bomarito and Kuno Whitmer. With that win, they were able to kiss the bricks and close the points gap down to only 13 points. They'll start this race today in 2nd place behind the number 56 BMW of John Edwards and Dirk Mueller. John Edwards claimed his first pole position of the year to continue the streak of no repeat pole sitters in the GTLM category. Though there are no results to show for it in practice or qualifying, the trio of Porsche RSRs did receive an adjustment of performance, so keep an eye on them today. Traffic will be a big issue. There are 4 different classes on the track at the same time. For more on GT Daytona, here's Chris Neville.
And Jamie, GTD, anything but predictable all season long. We've seen Ferrari, Viper, Porsche, and BMW in victory lane, and all season long, that Aston Martin by TRG has slowly been getting quicker and quicker and getting more competitive. This weekend in qualifying, breaking through. James Davison putting the 007 on pole, really giving that team a shot in the arm. But this morning, in the morning warm-up, James Davison, Sylvain Tremblay in the Mazda prototype get together in the King, get spit out hard into the wall. Both of those cars we hear will not make the grid. They are not being able to be prepared and get out here. I talked to Kevin Buckler right before the race. He says he's just gutted. With what they did in qualifying yesterday, it was exactly what this team needed. And he said, also, cars crashing in a morning warm-up, inexcusable. Brian?
I'd have to agree with you, Chris. That's not the time to get out there and push hard on the racetrack. Round 9 of the 2014 season coming your way. The green flag just around the corner. Make sure you join us. Stay with us here on Fox Sports. If you're going to make that championship run, you got to get it done now. This is going to be spectacular, boys.
Green flag, green flag.
Not put too much on the line. Pop is off.
He gets a radiator full of grass.
Oh, he tries to shut the door. Believe they may have traded some paint.
We are good. We're having a great time watching it. Thank you, guys.
I don't know what it is about Road America, but it always lends itself to close finishes and fantastic racing. Dorsey, give us a better look at this track with the Mazda track map.
Well, thanks to Google, we'll look at this from outer space, drop it down here right above Milwaukee to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Longest racetrack we run at, it's 4.048 miles in length with 14 corners. What's unique is not one straightaway, not 2, but 3 very major straightaways that runs the top speed of these race cars up to near 180 miles per hour. Don't get off the racetrack here, boys. We see what happens.
No, any off here is a big one. We'll give you even a closer look of the racetrack with Johannes van Overbeek and our Patron track description.
Hi, I'm Johannes van Overbeek, driver of the #2 ESM prototype sponsored by Tequila Patron. If you like fast cars and you like bratwurst, you want to be at Road America this weekend. I brought you to turn 8, the bottom of the hurry downs. In our prototype, we want to try to be flat at the exit of here, all the way through the carousel, all the way through the kink, to turn 10, which equates to about a quarter of the track. If we can get the car to be flat through this section, we can put in a good lap time here at Road America.
Flat around those corners, certainly not easy, and we've got some great shots for you as the car is warming up. 13 different onboards for you, and you can go to foxsports.com/motor for simulcast onboard video streams of the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship Series from today's race. Great shots from GTLM, from the Prototype Challenge category, prototypes and GTD as well. These drivers are going to be working hard. As I said, you can go to foxsports.com/motors and you can watch the simulcast of those onboards. Follow along. There you are on the Porsche 912. Patrick Long, the only American Porsche factory driver, and Porsche getting some breaks this weekend with balance of performance. That should help them, but let's talk about the Tudor keys to victory.
Well, fill her up. You need plenty of fuel at this place. Is always a big factor on this long 4-mile circuit. Tire management, long duration corners like the carousel puts tremendous loads through the tires, and speed in all the right places. In recent years, it's really been a drag race to the line here to get that win.
Field behind the Chevrolet convertible pace car. I love that pace car. It's got an all-new fully electric top. You can put it up or down as long as you're 30 miles an hour or less, and I think that's about where he is getting ready for the start.
That would mess your hair up, though,
that
Brian.
Would not with the compound that I'm using, no.
Not 30 wouldn't.
Pace car to pit lane. That means we're about to go green. Field beginning to line up. Gas pedals being applied to the floor, and the green flag waves at Road America.
Christian Fittipaldi to the outside of our pole-sitting car. We talk about him being aggressive. Does he go for the lead immediately?
Sharp's got to get that car up there. He's going to be overtaken by 2 cars at least.
Ricky Taylor in the black number 10 goes with Fittipaldi. Scott Sharp has got to hang on down through these first couple of corners because right behind Scott Pruitt beginning to move forward as well.
Look at Yackerman there, really dancing on the brakes down into turn 3. Now he goes hard at it with the 0-1 machine of Memo Rojas. We're on board with him, but look at the speed of those Daytona prototypes down these straightaways, Dorsey.
Yeah, I figured by turn 5 they'd be clear by and on their way. Little brake lock up right there, you see that. Yackerman will be really aggressive. He owes the team something in that he wrecked that car badly this morning in the warm-up.
Had to replace a gearbox in both left side suspension, front and rear. You notice Yackerman running the left side all the way down in that braking zone, trying to take the temptation away from anybody behind him.
Well, he's one of the most aggressive drivers in the field. And it's this corner right here that he's going through now, turn 7, that he had a big off this morning, clouded the wall really hard. Lots of damage to the side of that race car.
Takes these P2 cars about 3 laps around here to get really good tire temps and be on equal footing. All they can do then, right now, is just to hold on, be aggressive, and make yourself a nuisance if possible.
See the Delta Wing in there as well. It's Catherine Legg who's starting there, and Delta Wing, that car so fast in a straight line. You can tell how busy it is in the opening laps here at Road America. These long, fast corners, the carousel coming up now to the kink.
Look at this. This is our pole-sitting car. John Edwards in that BMW Z4, one of the Vipers directly behind him. So he's had a good opening laps. These Z4s are quick on the lap, Dorsey, but are susceptible, like the P2 cars, to being passed on the straightaways. A little bit more drag and not the power of some of the other cars.
You really got to play to whatever your good points are, and you have to protect the ones that aren't good. These long racetracks like this, I mean, it's top speed that ultimately wins here.
On board the 55 right now, the sister car to John Edwards. Bill Auberlin behind the wheel, and the 912 right behind Patrick Long. We're going to find out how these balance of performance changes are going to work on the Porsche RSRs. They've gotten a little more horsepower with a restrictor. They've got a little bit more aerodynamics that they can use. Those aerodynamics take horsepower away in the form of drag.
Absolutely. This is a battle for the lead here in GTLM. The Viper goes to the outside of John Edwards. Farnbacher takes the lead.
Sweeping corner, nice job right there. Here is the deal. 3 long straightaways, 3 opportunities to draft. You have to use the draft here.
This is one of the issues with 4 classes running together. You see there, John Edwards just lost the lead of his class position, but right now he's immediately got one of those PC cars in the middle of him before he can attack that red and white Viper again.
It's Chris Miller in that yellow Prototype Challenge number 85 that slotted himself in. The Prototype Challenge cars should be just a little bit quicker. Talk about quick and working through traffic. The number 90 is going to have to work his way forward after starting dead last because of a technical infraction. Here he comes.
And he's got to be careful. This is really a predicament for Michael Valiente. They had that technical infraction. Oh, I think that's Patrick Long. He got down the inside of Bill Auberlin down into turn 5, and obviously Billy was having none of that. Bet there may have been contact, or Patrick may have had to get up on the curb there to get through the corner.
Doesn't look like there's any damage to the back of the car. Maybe a little bit of aerodynamics on the far left side, but car should be okay.
That turn 5 is the slowest corner on the racetrack, but it's still 50 miles per hour down there. It's easy to turn a guy.
I saw from the big camera that he'd gone down at the inside to attempt to overtake Bill Auberlin, but he didn't quite make it through. See a little bit of damage there. Maybe he got into him.
He's got a little crease on the front of his RSR, so they seem to be running much better today, but in the thick of the traffic. Talk about traffic. There is the Prototype Challenge class, and they are all nose to tail as they work their way up through turn 13. Right in front of them, the number 78 Riley with a new Honda twin turbo package on board that Honda's working to develop. They stream onto the front straightaway. Let's take a look back. That is the number 10 of Ricky Taylor off the racetrack.
That's a big off there. That may be turn 7.
It's turn 7, yeah.
Yeah, that's the outside of 7, and they keep dropping wheels there. They'll dig a hole out really fast around here. You can see the speed.
Well, that's on board the 10. Turn 7 is where Gustavo Jacquemin crashed earlier. Look at this battle in GTLM.
Kuno Wittmer there, the red Ferrari. Giancarlo Fisichella, the former Formula 1 driver for Ferrari, is the number 3 car, forces his way to the inside. This is Antonio Garcia, the championship leader currently in GTLM.
And the Corvette, the car 4 cars in front of you right now, has got a big piece of debris in the radiator. There goes the 90, who started dead last. He's working his way through.
Yeah, just to get back on that subject, the car qualified second by Richard Westbrook, but it failed the stall test. Essentially, there's an air restrictor, and they have to make sure that you're not pulling air from another part of the airbox. It failed that test after qualifying, put them to the back of this 48-car field. So, real predicament for Michael Valiante. He has to be aggressive, get to the front, but not take any chances and damage the race car.
Just 1 lap ago in turn 5. It was the 912. Patrick Long with the problem. Let's see.
This is on Oberlin here. You see him go down to the inside, fighting for position there.
Just doesn't have it.
Oh, Bill just pinched him there, and I think Patrick may have grabbed some of that inside curb and turned it around.
Let's check in with Jamie.
Well, the team did look at the live telemetry that's run on these cars, and they told Patrick, just get back in your rhythm, put your head back in the game. All 4 of the tires still look good from what they're seeing on their computer screen, so all Pat has to do is put his head down and drive.
That's good thing with that turn 5 is it's so slow. You don't flat spot your tires usually because you don't slide very far.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you don't lock them and slide them across the pavement and create that flat spot, you should be okay. So now Patrick Long needs to work his way back through. The great thing about the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship, you can look at the numbers, the illuminated numbers that you see, and they can give you the position of big crash.
Big
crash here, 2 cars.
That may be the 78.
That's Canada corner exit.
It is the 78.
Holy cow.
Defending race winner here, Scott Mayer behind the wheel. This is the new HPD powered. Oh man,
the 09
pole sitter in LMPC is involved.
Boy, and another.
Gentilozzi talked about the damage that they've sustained this year, Dorsey.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Calvin. That's another expensive weekend for Gentilozzi's team.
Big hit for Duncan Indy. You saw him sitting in the car. They finished second at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Their teammates, Chris Cummins and Jack Hawksworth, won that event, and we saw Scott Mayer look like he was a little off the pace. He was right in front of all these prototype challenge cars.
He pile drived him into the guardrail, I think.
Look at that wheel bouncing around there. Lucky that didn't get into any of these open cockpits.
Watch this, watch this.
This is on board with Duncan Indy.
Scott just gets wide there. Scott was wide there, just lost control of the rear end of the car and turned it into him really hard.
Never knew that Duncan Indy was there, made the hard right turn and just forced him right back to driver's right and head on into the wall.
Somebody flew into me through Canada. I got through Canada. He got inside and wiped me out.
See, I didn't see any contact there. Looked to me like Scott was out on the rumble strip, the finish of the curbing there in Canada corner, but maybe we didn't see the right angle yet in terms of whether Duncan may have touched him a little bit and made the car turn around.
There's the damage on the 56. That is your pole-sitting BMW, the suspension component that was out there. John Edwards couldn't get around it. So he has damage up front. Duncan Indy, good to see him out after such a hard hit with the wall. It's not really the way that I saw that take place, but let's check in with Jamie.
Well, James Hinchcliffe was watching on as that incident occurred. I know you were up there with Peter Barron and the team. What's the word on the car?
I don't know. I don't think it looks good. I think Scott's actually already out, so it looks like damage might be terminal. I know we were having some problems with shifting, and it looks like he just ran a little bit wide there in 12. You know, if the car's not going down through the gears, that's not going to help that. And then, you know, got a bit loose and collected those guys. So, I mean, I feel bad for everybody at Starworks HP for getting this thing going, everybody that got involved in that. Mostly I just hope everybody's okay down there. Just not the day we wanted. We needed miles on this thing.
You talk about needing those miles. This is very much a development program. You were just added to it this Wednesday, so you haven't been a part of it for long, but what have the last couple of days been like?
You know, it's been a lot of long hours. You know, these guys are putting in, you know, a ton of time. They're working really hard. HPD's been behind this program 100%, and, you know, Peter Barron and the crew here at Star Works been working hard ever since Sebring to try and get this thing back on track. They had a great test at Atlanta, and, you know, we had high hopes. We had a reasonable qualifying, you know, for where we've been. Everything was starting to run kind of smoothly, learning the engine, learning the car. But like I said, we needed the miles, and that's not going to happen today. So we'll regroup and hopefully be back for the next one.
Thank you.
Would be good to see when he doesn't have conflicts, to see a driver like James Hinchcliffe back in the series. Safety crews going to work to clean up the incident in Canada corner. We'll be back, and we'll find out how much damage was done to the other competitors.
2014 marks a new era for sports car racing in North America with the debut of the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship. The TUDOR Championship brings together the best of two series that ran in parallel for more than a decade. The Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series and the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron are now one organization under IMSA sanction. This year's inaugural 13-race schedule includes internationally recognized events such as the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the 12 Hours of Sebring, the 6 Hours of the Glen, and the Petit Le Mans.
The TUDOR Championship includes 4 classes of competition, again bringing together the best of both worlds. The marquee prototype category pairs the Daytona prototypes from the Rolex series with cars that competed in the ALMS P2 class, plus the revolutionary Delta Wing DWC 13.
The single-make prototype challenge class is virtually unchanged from 2013 when it was part of the ALMS. There are also 2 Grand Touring divisions. The former ALMS GT, recognized as the best racing of its kind in the world, continues as GT Le Mans, while the Rolex Series GT and the ALMS GTC divisions have evolved into GT Daytona, a class including vehicles similar to European GT3 machinery.
Crew's still working to clean up during this first full course caution here at Road America. Down in turn 12, Scott Mayer got together with Duncan Indy, and that brought about a hard crash. Let's take a look at what happens. Here they come down into Canada corner, into the braking zone.
See them there sort of jostling for position. It looks like Duncan Indy has decided to tuck back in behind the 78 car. But we get a much better viewpoint from it here. We're on board with Duncan Indy, the 09. Now look to your left and watch the steering input there on Scott Mayer's car. Looked like it already lost control to me, Dorsey. Got a little bit of oversteer. He had some steering correction into the race car, and then there was the hit.
Yeah. Early in the corner, it gets loose, and he's got a little left-hand lock in, and unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Comes and makes big contact. For Duncan Indy, it was really bad because he actually got pile-driven into. The 55 hit some debris. Let's watch on board with that car.
Watch the 56 right in front of him, too. That's John Edwards. You can see the carnage all over the place, just trying to skip through there.
And there was a wheel and tire that came across. It said when we went to break, it'll be interesting to see how much damage other competitors have. We know that there's at least cosmetic damage to the front of John Edwards' BMW. So it'll be interesting to find out. But the day ends way too soon for Duncan Indy and Bruno Junqueira, Jamie.
And as Bruno is watching our replay picture, still shaking the head. The team was hoping for such a strong result today, Bruno. How do you sum up this frustration?
It's very difficult to start on the pole leading the race, and a gentleman driver made a mistake. I understand he's a gentleman, but it's very frustrating, you know, all the effort to recover in the championship after no scoring at Daytona. You had a big chance to win today and come out of 0 points, so very frustrating. But let's get ready for the VAR then.
With only a few races left, how does this change the strategy going forward?
Now I think we're out in the championship. We're catching up. We're already up to 4th, very close to 2nd. So now it's difficult. I think we'll have to try to get more wins. But I'm very frustrated. That's my favorite track. I had a car to win today, and another driver make a mistake 100% and throwing the car and dunk, and you know, I mean, it's very frustrating. But let's get over it.
Yep, and I did talk to John Genelosi. He said when Duncan got out of the car, he reported that he was okay. However, he will be sore tomorrow. That was a big hit.
It was indeed a big hit. And Bruno says it's his favorite track. He won here twice in IndyCar competition, and certainly he knows how to go around here. Good job of putting the car on the pole. There's the damage to the 56 BMW, and they're going to have to come in and work on that.
Well, it's going to be tough fix there. I mean, that's a pretty big piece to try and change even during a pit stop. So they're probably going to have to live with it. But the problem is the air's going to get underneath that front fender and probably peel that back. So they'll probably keep him out there and see how it does at speed. But these long straightaways, high-speed nature of the race circuit, it's going to be tough for that car to survive, Dawes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, while the safety crews continue to do the cleanup, we'll take the opportunity to take another quick break from Road America. Fans have turned out in droves this weekend. Weather absolutely perfect. Welcome back to Historic Road America. Those were some nice shots of some of the history here. Brian Till, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader with you. While we're still under yellow, let's take a look at some of our Honda news and notes. Continental Tire and IMSA agreed to a multi-year partnership extension. That is huge.
It is really great news because they've been such a tremendous supporter of this championship, and I know all the drivers and teams are very happy about that.
Future class structure announced. That helps add stability to the series, and the 2015 schedule revealed yesterday. And here it is. We'll start with Daytona, as we always do. Talk about iconic, move straight to Sebring. Long Beach, return to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, as well as Belle Isle, and then the 6-hour at Watkins Glen. Back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Lime Rock gets back on the schedule.
Yeah, that's really a fan favorite as a tight bull ring of a circuit. Only 2 of the classes will race there, so as you said, 10 races for all the different classes, 12 events in total.
Safety car dives to pit road. That means we'll go back to green. Christian Fittipaldi leads us back, but right behind him, Ricky Taylor in his Corvette, and then Scott Sharp in the first of the P2-based prototypes, and already problems.
Problems before they even get to that final corner here. One of the Flying Lizard Porsches involved. That's the number 45 car of Nelson Canache Jr.
Now on a restart, when they go green, it's time to go racing, but that's silly, guys. You got to get back to the line at least. Pushing way too hard, way too soon.
Well, that's the deal. When we got nearly 50 cars in this field, the leaders are going green, and some of the guys at the back of the pack are still going through that final corner, so there was probably a concertina effect, and it caught some guys out. Look at Rojas.
Memo Rojas back behind the wheel of the 0-1. You're right on board with him right now, pressuring Scott Sharp.
Okay, so look up the inside turn 6 here. No, not quite close enough yet.
Ford power versus Honda power just in front. Through turn 7, down the hill to 8.
Taylor's staying pretty close to Christian Fittipaldi on this restart lap, but the one car looks pretty smooth right now, Chris.
Hey guys, we were talking about that one car taking a good 3 laps to get up to tire temp and tire pressure. Well, listening to the team talk to Scott Sharp on these opening laps, they told him after 1 lap, tire temps and tire pressure is looking good. I just checked the track temp. Track temp is 110, so we got a lot of good temperature out here. Might let Scott Sharp attack a little bit more in these opening laps.
Well, it's warmer today than it's been for the last 2 days. That is good news for everybody driving a P2-based machine right now. Gustavo Yackaman right behind Memo Rojas. You ride on board with Yackaman in that very bright pink and black number 42. They've had some great runs this year, including the win at Mossport.
Yeah, and that threw them right in a championship contention, but they didn't have a smooth run at Indy. We saw earlier in the show where Christian Fittipaldi turned Yackaman around in turn 1 at Indy. They recovered for an 8th place finish, but it's really been a problematic weekend for this car, Dorsey. A couple of times they've been in the tire wall, but as you can see, it doesn't deter young Gustavo. He's on the attack already.
Well, it's good to hear that these cars are coming in on their tires in 1 lap, if it wasn't for the fact that that 1 lap is 4 miles, which is a long way around here, but it is, they can attack now anyway.
Now, back to the 90, you see the battle right there in Prototype Challenge. That's a fight up front, but right behind them, the number 90, Richard Westbrook, working, or Michael Valiente, I should say, behind the wheel right now, working his way forward.
Look how careful he's got to be, though, threading his way through these various classes who are battling for the lead in their race. And Michael's just trying to get this car back into good track position for Richard Westbrook to try and finish this out. Remember, these guys are only 11 points out of the championship lead, so to have that technical infraction after qualifying was a big blow to this group.
And those are the leaders in Prototype Challenge that you see. The 08 is Chris Cumming, followed by Luis Diaz. There's the leader in GTLM, Dominic Farnbacher, the 91, the Viper. We understand the number 4 Corvette is going to have to serve a penalty, a stop and hold for 60 seconds for running the red light at pit out.
Wow. Oh, contact too.
Contact there.
And a full course caution for something at the same time.
John Bennett got turned around by Dominic Farnbacher there. Be interesting to see if John had maybe slowed a bit for that yellow up ahead and it caught Dominic out a little bit.
Debris at turn 13, that's what the full course caution is for, but did John Bennett see a yellow flag begin to slow down and get collected by Farnbacher?
And this is a tough one. This is one of the problems when you got 4 classes running together. It's a great show, but when they get in a mix like that, this is the leader in class right now. He turned another competitor around. This is now a decision for the stewards to really make the call. There we see the debris on the racetrack.
And that is a headlight, and it looks like perhaps a fender from the
Bumper
little
cover
dust up that happened there on that last restart.
This is one of the headlight covers back here, a big chunk of probably a bumper cover.
This is probably from that flying lizard incident that we saw, possibly.
Going to be a short yellow, a debris type caution, but we're going to have to wait and see what happened there with John Bennett. Christian Fittipaldi still leads, then Ricky Taylor, Scott Sharp.
Here's got a good look at it. Coming through, just gets on the throttle, and unfortunately the 54 didn't go.
Yeah, and actually the yellow's not out yet. Now there's the yellow coming up there, so.
They caused that yellow.
So there's no yellow at the next corner station.
Yeah, that's different.
There on driver's left, there's no yellow there. Now it goes out after the contact, so.
Yeah, I don't think that was the reason. Initially after the spin, I looked up and saw the yellow flag, but I don't think it was John Bennett slowing for the yellow. I think he just didn't accelerate off the corner like Dominic was expecting.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
But does that make it even worse? When you think about Dominic Farnbacher, he had an excuse that the car slowed quickly because of the caution, caught him out. But if you're still racing, it's going to be difficult to explain that one. We'll find out. It's Christian Fittipaldi who continues to lead in Prototype Challenge. Chris Cumming for RSR Racing having a good run. And Dominic Farnbacher leading in his Viper in GTLM. We'll be back. UFC Fight Night returns to Fox Sports 1 with a full card of epic bouts, including a light heavyweight matchup between 8th-ranked Ryan Bader and 10th-ranked Ovent St. Preux. It all begins with the pre-fight show at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 2, then catch the main event at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. I feel like we've seen a little UFC fight here. See if everybody can behave on this restart, but it gets busy right off the bat. Memo Rojas in the blue and white 01 from Ganassi gets past Scott Sharp.
He does, and look at that Delta Wing up to the 5th spot right now. Catherine Legg behind the wheel takes a position away from Gustavo Jacquemin. Great restart for her.
These Daytona prototypes are so good at the restarts and so good at the starts. What are these other cars? They're just, they're just getting their tires going.
Ricky Taylor's starting to find his groove here a little bit on these 2 restart laps. He's been really, really strong compared to the opening lap, so the 10 car is finding its sweet spot. Hard on the brakes here, down into turn 5. Christian holds the middle of the road there.
Out of turn 5, the slowest corner, up to turn 6. A left-hand bend, the car gets light at the top, and we'll see if Ricky Taylor can do anything. Heavy braking in 8.
And remember the comments after Indianapolis, both the Taylor brothers said, we want to know what the rules are. What is the game you can play here? How aggressive can you be? We're going to go for it with 3 rounds left in this championship, Dorsey.
I also heard somebody's going to be crying before this is over.
Yeah, it could end in tears. Championships on the line every lap and every race from here on out. Fittipaldi leading through the carousel. The guys said, I talked to Ricky and Jordan Taylor, they said the kink is not flat for us. It's a little bit of a breeze.
Oh, trouble here.
And I think that's where the parts came from. I think maybe on that last restart, the 44 behind the wall. Chris?
Brian just checked in with Magnus, also the 63 car, and with Flying Lizard. Both the Ferrari and the Porsche are heading back to their trailers trying to fix those cars. Radiator damage on the Ferrari and the Porsche. They're hoping to be back on track in 20 to 30 minutes. The Audi, I checked in with them. No major damage with systems there, just some tape on that car. So that car built a little bit more like a tank.
Gustavo Jacquemin has his hands full right in front with Catherine Legg in the Delta Wing. The Delta Wing so sleek.
Look at it go.
Look at it take off down the straightaway. And talk to Andy Merrick about the car. Said they really softened it up throughout the weekend, found a little more grip, a little more stability. And with a different differential in the back of it, it seems to really be running well as of late.
Yeah, the car coming alive now under the guidance of Timmy Keane from Ganassi here for the last couple of rounds of the championship. Had that huge fire that burned and destroyed a tub at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. For a lot of work for that team, but they knew this was going to be a great race for them. They led laps here last year in ALMS competition.
Scott Sharp beginning to work back towards Memo Rojas just a bit as that P2-based machine comes in. They're very, very fast around this racetrack, but you've got to determine where you make your lap time and how to use that to your advantage and strategize off of it. 4 different classes of cars competing here, and there is the leader in GTD, that blue and yellow number 94 from Turner Motorsports.
Those P2 type cars are really good on long green flag runs where they can get their momentum going and keep it up. But they get really bogged down in traffic and they get bogged down on these restarts. The more restarts they get, the harder to win.
Great run for this Turner car. They've had 2 wins this year and really got right back into championship contention going into Indianapolis. Then they had contact there, got a penalty, had the car stuck in the gravel trap, so they're trying to rebound. There's the penalty for Tommy Milner.
It's for running the red light. It pit out, and it looks like Viper beginning to close in the hands of Ben Keating, beginning to close in a bit on Marcus Paltala in the 94. Chris?
Well, Brian, talked to Will Turner right before we went green, and he said the track temp, they want to see those high track temps. That BMW very well balanced throughout the entire run here. Said we don't have the speed of the Porsches down the straightaway. We're down like 7 miles an hour on these long straightaways, but the balance of the car very strong throughout the entire stint, where the Porsche teams are saying about a third of the way through their stint, that's when time starts falling off.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going through 2 of the most awesome corners in all of road racing in North America, the Carousel and the Kink.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. What Chris was just talking about is a lot of the same story in any class out here. And when you look at Daytona prototypes and P2 cars, somewhat the same thing. P2 cars much nicer on their tires than the Daytona prototypes. Be interesting to see if they can double stint or help. Now, this is part of the problem. The GTLM leaders beginning to work through GTD, and that messes up the fight there.
Yeah, and some of these guys actually made some pit stop. Fisichella, the Corvettes, they took advantage of that caution flag to dive into pit lane and top up with fuel, just increase the window, as we call it, the window of opportunity for when you make your next pit stop. By topping them up, they should go out, be able to go a little bit longer than guys who stayed out, of course.
Mentioned Ben Keating working his way through traffic up to 2nd place now in the GT Daytona category. Jerome, as you wait to get in the car, what condition is that Viper in at the moment? Do you have a car to fight for a win?
Well, we're looking good at the moment. It's busy out there in traffic this lap, but I think it'll be a bit quieter afterwards. And the field is very close together still after all those yellows. So it's going to be a long fight, but we're looking good. The car is feeling great, Ben tells us, so yeah, we're happy.
During the practice and qualifying sessions, where do you see the advantages for your car?
Our biggest problem is the straights, the long straights. We have probably the lowest top speed together with the BMW, but we have good braking, so we have to make up the time there. So in a fight, sometimes they pass you on the straight, but you can take the position back on the braking if you're lucky. So yeah, that's going to be interesting in the end of the race.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it.
Have you guys spoken to anybody this weekend that has enough straight line speed?
No, that's a problem with this racetrack. It goes back a long way. You never have enough engine here.
Nobody ever does, it seems like, on board the 46.
Got a famous co-driver on board this weekend, the Franchitti name. It's Marino Franchitti. Saw him in action in the early rounds of the championship for Chip Ganassi Racing, scoring that brilliant win at the 12 Hours of Sebring. He's going to be sharing this car today. The 4-line group just really trying to get to the bottom of the setup of this race car, and bringing someone of Marino's experience on board is certainly a bonus.
When I spoke with Brad Kettler earlier, who is the head of the Audi program over here and supports all the customer programs, and they're scratching their head a bit. They too say they need more straight line speed, as you see a problem for the number 18 Porsche.
This is not too bad a deal yet, unless it gets worse. It looks like a simple spin, no contact with anything. It doesn't look like.
That's turn 7 again.
It's turn 7 again. Back to the inside.
You know, it was a funny corner. It's off camber.
They're showing you on TV, but we can't tell.
We're off here at turn 7. I don't think they're going to get.
you turn into that corner, and then right as you turn in, there's an off-camber situation where the banking goes the wrong direction. The car takes off on you, and if you fight it, you end up right where he's at. He probably spun across from the outside to the inside.
Yeah, the car washes out, so your natural instinct is to increase the steering input, and before you know it, you're going to turn the car around. So that may be what happened to David Calvert-Jones, though. He's sharing the car with one of the Aussie V8 supercar drivers coming over here, Alex Davison. So it's great to see him back in competition here in the States. Really nice young man, and certainly a really fast peddler in one of these Porsches.
Never did like that corner.
This is the one that gets your attention. It's the kink, and Ricky Taylor flies through it, giving chase to Christian Fittipaldi. You talk about top speed. One of the things it seems like the Action Express team has been able to do, they had the fastest straight line speeds at Watkins Glen, and yet still maintain good aerodynamic downforce and balance on the Corvette that they drive. And everyone else struggles a bit to find that magic combination of straight line speed versus downforce.
And you need it here at Road America. You're going to hit 175 miles an hour 3 times around this racetrack, and I think the Action Express team have got a really good car that's got good mechanical grip. By trimming out that aero a little bit, is less drag, and we've talked about how they've managed their fuel strategy as well. So they've got it all working for them right now.
The one thing that does remain a question mark for Action Express, though, is how they're going to be on tire wear towards the end of their stint. Traditionally this year, they're better in the middle to the end. However, they were not able to do any long runs on a set of tires this weekend, so they're not sure what's going to happen as they approach the fuel window.
90 car is up to 8th. Remember, they started dead last, but it's Christian Fittipaldi who's trying to add to his championship lead that he shares with Joao Barbosa. We'll be back to more from Road America.
The diverse field in the GT Le Mans class puts a lot of pressure on Michelin to deliver performance for all of its technical partner teams. With front-engine cars like the factory BMWs, Corvettes, and Dodge Vipers, the rear-engine factory Porsches, and the mid-engine Risi Ferrari, there is a big challenge to develop tires that keep everyone happy. Michelin works with each manufacturer to identify the car's characteristics and make sure they provide the right tire to meet their needs. The engineers go to great lengths to ensure that every partner has access to the latest tires and no single partner is favored over another. Michelin teams from Porsche, Corvette, and Dodge Viper have scored the class wins in the first 7 races of the TUDOR Championship. But even more satisfying is that all 5 Michelin GT Le Mans teams have won a pole, set a fastest race lap, and scored at least 2 podium finishes.
On board one of those Vipers that is so quick, in fact took the victory at Indianapolis, the 93 right now. Running 3rd in the category, Kuno Wittmer on board, and they were very impressive here last year, taking the win with the 91. But let's head down to Chris for more on GTD.
Well, Calvin was talking about Marino Franchitti being here. And Marino, you were here earlier this spring. You won the 12 Hours of Sebring with Ganassi, but you haven't been in a car since. So is it kind of tough knocking the rust off after a good 6 months or so?
That's not been too much of a problem. Jumping in a new car and a totally new class for me, that's been difficult. I've only done a handful of laps, so I'm definitely behind on experience in this thing. Today, my job is really just to gain experience, and the following guys have got me here to give them some feedback on the Audi. That's what I've got to try and do. I mean, I'm not really expecting much. I think Charles is doing a great job right now, but I don't think I can, I don't know how I'll do when I get later on. It's just completely unfamiliar to me, but it's just nice to be back racing.
Yeah, he says he hasn't gotten that much laps this weekend, but he's really enjoyed being behind the wheel of that Audi.
Well, it's great to see Marino back. He's a great ambassador for the sport and for the series. A problem for the 27.
Right side does not look. Oh, left front's gone. Right front's down. Well, maybe just the left. Nope,
no.
Right too.
Looks like the right front is down as well. So
both fronts are flat.
See where this happens.
Oh,
he just gets in really deep in there, down into turn 8. Gets into the 48 machine of Bryce Miller.
Yeah, I think he did the left front wheel on the curb and the right front wheel on the Audi.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting. I don't know if he had some type of a brake problem when he got down in there, because obviously he had a considerable amount of speed, more than the competitors in front of him down there at the apex. So I don't know if he had a brake problem on the way into the corner.
Does
but
now.
Yeah. When they're down, they don't stop very well.
So he's broken the suspension.
And the big news is the fact that that 48 car that he kind of got into there, they're really in the thick of this GTD championship, Brian. So we're hearing there may be some suspension damage on that Audi of Bryce Miller, which is going to really disappoint that team. Been on a bit of a charge of late.
So other cars having contact on the racetrack. The view from Ricky Taylor's Corvette. No 5 car in front.
Yeah.
And we understand that involved some contact. We said this could end in tears, and they wanted to know how rough they could play.
They talked about it after Indianapolis. They were really frustrated that the 5 car got away with that contact down in turn 1 when Fittipaldi turned the 42 car. Now we're on board here. This is down into turn 3. Ricky Taylor slides it to the inside here. We're looking at a slow-mo replay. Christian comes across the bow there, and he turns him.
Yeah, if they could have just stayed door to door and he'd run him out of room, I think you could get away with that. But by the car being turned like that, I don't think that's going to fly.
Fittipaldi back underway and onto the front straightaway. The car doesn't look like it has any damage to it. Contact seemed to be wheel to the side of the car and not wheel to wheel. And sometimes when it's wheel to wheel, you can cut down a tire with one of the aerodynamic bits.
We talked about Christian staying aggressive. He is certainly aggressive there and not wanting to give that position away. Here's a better look at it. Ricky's down to the inside.
That looks good there.
Looks good there, and Christian just immediately went for the apex. So I think it was half a dozen to 1/6 of another there, because Ricky kind of tried to tuck it to the inside. Christian was either not looking in the side view mirror or didn't want to give the position away.
So this is through turn 1.
It's a run going right here. See, he's got speed. He's closing the gap right now.
Yeah, I just don't think Christian expected him to make the move. I think Christian thought, I got a good run off 1. I got a good entry here. And I think it caught him by surprise a little bit, Dorsey.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if this is called as a racing incident or, you know, it's hard to call that one. Different angles on that certainly give you a different
I guarantee you it's not hard to call it from the pit box. For the 5 team. I know what I know the call that they're making, and I know the call that Wayne Taylor's making.
Yeah, I know what's going on back there too.
Somebody's going to be unhappy with that call.
Whatever call they make. Whatever they do, somebody's going to be unhappy with it.
When you sit at home and you think, I could do a better job as being a race official, this is where you get thrown into the deep end. No, somebody's not going to like you regardless of what you do.
I've got that position as being that official sometimes in a different series. And like I say, depending on which camera view you look at, I got a different opinion as to what I think happened.
Oh, a lot of lock up there from the WeatherTech Porsche. Boy, oh boy, that could be a flat spot.
It's Cooper McNeil on board the 22 trying to get past Madison Snow. Problems in the pits, Chris.
Oh, you see Patrick Dempsey still up in the air trying to do some fixes to this 27. Initially, he came into pit lane 2, flat tires at the front end, so he slid the car a little bit close to the wall, so the team had to spend quite a bit of time trying to move the car further out so they could actually work on it. You can see the team trying to pound out that right rear fender because that was rubbing on the right rear tire. Also checked in with the team, asked if there's a problem prior to the contact. They said no, there wasn't.
Scott Sharp pits out of 3rd position, heads to pit road. Now it'll be interesting. We talked about the differences in the prototypes. You've got to play your strategy. You've got to play your strength. So maybe you pit off sequence from the Daytona prototypes, or is there a problem with the one, Cal?
Well, I think the problem may be he's out of fuel.
Yeah.
Because these P2 cars don't seem to be getting as much fuel mileage as the Daytona prototypes. That was certainly the case at Indianapolis by a couple of 3 laps. And you can't afford to gamble too much here. If you start coughing for fuel here, try and get into that reserve. It's an uphill run into pit lane. So I think on this first stop, unless you've got absolutely exact data to work from, you're probably going to be a bit conservative.
Sharp stays in the car, no driver change.
This could be a break for these guys because they've made their pit stop. If we have a yellow right now.
You see the 27 go behind the wall. Scott Sharp leaving pit lane, and you saw the 81 buried in the gravel trap. Ben Barker behind the wheel, and the full course caution.
This is a huge break. Huge break for the #1 team because a lot of these other prototypes are going to need a pit here shortly for fuel, and they will reassume the lead of this motor race by making the pit stop right before this caution.
Talk about perfect timing.
Down here, this is into Canada corner. Heavy braking once again. 81 Porsche on your right.
On the I just got in too deep, too far out to the outside, couldn't turn.
I think he saw those other competitors down the inside. Dorsey maybe missed his braking point just a little bit and then got out in the gray, couldn't get the grip to get it turned in.
I've seen that so many times down there in Canada Corner. You try to be a nice guy. If you get pushed offline, either one doesn't make any difference. You get to the outside, you're not going to be able to turn.
Yeah, I think he was looking at the two other class cars. Yeah. He had a GT-LM Viper, and he had a prototype challenge car beside him, and it just caught him out. So a big break for the #1 team, as Calvin said, as far as the strategy goes. We understand that the 27, in addition to the problems on track, they'll have a stop and hold for 65 seconds for a problem on pit road, so that just adds a little insult to the injury. Ricky Taylor leads, and a great crowd on hand here at Road America. The Taylor brothers, they want back into the championship hunt. Welcome back to Road America. Under full course caution while Ricky Taylor leads up front, and it has been quite the battle, a little pushing and shoving already. Now, away from the racetrack, since we're under full course caution, let's talk a little bit earlier in the week, Wednesday evening, in fact, at the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. Jim France and Dr. Don Panos jointly accepted the Hall's Bob Russo Heritage Award for outstanding contributions to the motorsports industry. All types of motorsports luminaries were there, and it was great to see two men like Jim and Dr. Don accept an award for all of the things that they have done for motorsports. Bob Varsha was on hand, and now pit stops. And you can win or you can lose on pit lane as well. Now it's time for the crews to shine, and it's Ricky Taylor who leads the field of prototypes down pit road. Be interesting to see if they do a driver change now or wait till just a little bit later on their next stop that they'll need. But
I think
Ricky Taylor,
do it now, Brian.
Do it now. Memo Rojas to his marks.
And Rojas going to stay behind the wheel, so going to do fuel and 4 Continental tires on the 01 car. Checked in with Mike O'Gara right before the car came in. He said the first 10 laps in a run, the car's a bit tight, but once they start burning some fuel off and also these tires coming up to 10, he said the car frees up nicely. So very happy with this car. Jamie?
Well, the #5 car also on pit lane. Christian Fittipaldi out of the car. Joao Barbosa now behind the wheel. The team was concerned about the brake temperature. They were going to bring him in earlier, but he's backed off a little bit. The brakes cooled down. It's certainly something to keep an eye on. The team taking a little bit of extra time here in the pits in order to evaluate that. The #10 car, you guys had the question, will they do the driver change? And they did. Jordan Taylor now behind the wheel.
And that may have been the difference. The 01 did not. They jumped out, and they now lead this race.
The 5 car finally away, so maybe they paid some attention to that brake issue that they discussed. But yeah, different strategies here. Memo Ross staying behind the wheel of the 01. And you can also roll the dice a little bit in terms of topping the car up completely or maybe short filling a little bit to get some track position. But the Ganassi boys and the Ford squad in particular, they want to get another win here, so I'm sure they're going to try every trick in the book they can. But they're having a strong run here today. Been up in the top 2 or 3 all day, Dorsey.
Everybody playing that strategy. Sharp stayed in too on that one when he did his. They got the luckiest of all, making that pit stop right before that caution. So long way to go though. When you start looking at an hour and 44 minutes left, pretty warm day out there. We're not even into the meat of the race yet, really.
So the prototype guys have headed back on track. Prototype challenge. The pit lane will be open for them next time by. And let's listen to a little radio from the 5.
Like when you initiate the braking, especially on heavy, for example, heavy places, if you continue braking heavy all the way to when you get to the corner, basically what happens when you get to the corner, you're going to run out of brakes. Like the brakes just keep on going further, and you have a huge long pedal.
Yeah, that's not good here.
This could be Christian on the radio to Joao Barbosa. A lot of times when the co-driver jumps out, he then easily jumps on the radio to tell the driver's getting in what to expect, or maybe that was some delayed transmission there from Christian back to the team. But either way, it seems like our championship leader does have some brake drama here, and we're talking about the times you're going to hit 175 miles an hour plus. That means you've got to really slow the car down a lot.
And
in
you're
those
braking,
heavy braking
you're
zones.
braking twice of these times on downhill runs. So, I mean, it makes it even harder on the brakes. Sometimes what will happen, like down in turn 5, is it'll bias toward the front quite heavily because they're going down that hill. And what that sounds like, he's describing is boiling brake fluid at one end, but not the other. So it sounds to me like he's boiling the front.
This racetrack hard on tires, hard on brakes. It was great to see Jim France and Dr. Don Panos, as I said earlier, receive the Bob Russo Heritage Award. Also, John Bishop inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America at the same point in time. Once again, more sports car pioneers being inducted and being honored. On board with Antonio Garcia. Wow, Dorsey.
This is back in 1983 where Klaus Ludwig and Tim Kokonis actually won this rain-shortened race here in a brand new Zach Speed Ford Mustang with help from Roush Racing. They had teammates with Jeff Brabham and Bobby Rahal in that car. That car came in third as well. Ludwig put it on the pole. It's a long time ago.
Well, and Ford has had great success here. Look at that. 7 open wheel victories, Trans Am victories. Any of those yours?
Some of those were mine, yeah, those Trans Am ones.
Nationwide. You know, and didn't you win here a couple of weeks ago, Dorsey?
I did win here a couple more times a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact. We were here for the vintage race, the Hawk, and I had the most wonderful time I ever had, I think. The most pleasurable weekend. There we are.
Did you remember how fast it was?
It was faster than I wanted to go. I know that much.
You haven't lost your touch, Dorsey. Looking good.
Al Petkus put this car together for me in Advanced Auto Sports, and they did a good job. We got to run all weekend, event-free, I should add.
I was looking for the mullet.
Dorsey didn't have to change tires, but he had to change underwear 3 times.
Yeah. Prototype challenge cars are in.
Yeah, nice run for James French. Started 5th today, running 2nd right now, handing over to David Ostella. This car looking a little beaten, battered from all that debris from down in Canada Corner when we had that contact early on with Duncan Indy and the prototype car. So car looks like it's in decent shape. Couple marks on the car, though. We're going to do 4 tires and fuel. Jamie.
The 25 also in from the lead of the PC category. Driver change going on right now. Sean Rahal getting behind the wheel. I asked the team before they came in, is the car in good condition? And the team said the car is great. 4 new Continental tires. They're looking for their first win of the season.
And the 8-star team had a great run at Indy and then had a pit lane speeding penalty that put him back. But Sean Rahal told me there, this is the best car I've ever driven. He and Luis Diaz working very well together. And they've got a newer engineer with the squad, and he said everything's just gelling, and the car is spectacular.
Well, it's a great team, and of course led by Enzo Potolicchio, has had so much success in the Grand Am series over the last few years, but he's put together a great group led by Gary Neal, the team manager there, and they're going to be strong whatever type of car they're running.
Prototype cars stop first, then prototype challenge. That means GTLM and GTD will pit next. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back to more from Road America. Welcome back to Road America, round 9 of the 2014 TUDOR United SportsCar Championship season. I said races could be won or lost on pit lane. Little congestion there.
A lot of congestion, but look in the middle of that GTD pack. There's the number 62 GTLM Risi Ferrari. Now, they pitted on lap 7, which meant when they made this subsequent pit stop, they had a lot less fuel to go on board, and they beat a ton of their competition out. Great move by the Risi boys.
And this is what it looked like from down there. The number 3 Corvette trying to get to his box. The Porsche had gone out right in front.
Wow, these guys couldn't do anything wrong a month ago, and now suddenly everything's gone awry for them.
Just unbelievable. It gets so congested down there, and typically there are prototypes in between a lot of the GT competitors. That was not the case.
Now, they try and separate the various classes so you don't have so much congestion, but we talked about it. Scott Sharp, by making that pit stop before we went to yellow, he now takes the lead of this motor race as we go back to green.
And as we go back to green, foxsports.com/motor for simulcast onboard video, and it's going to be some great stuff. Right behind Memo Rojas on the restart. Motors by the 1.
Oh, and look at this battle here.
And then he locks up.
Locks up the tire right front bad, I think.
Slides wide. Sharp's right there again. Does he have that flat spot on the right front?
Yeah, and look right behind them. There's the number 10 car, and there's a great battle going on between the 42 and now the 90 with Richard Westbrook behind the wheel.
Watch these Daytona prototypes. They launch off there hard. Here comes the 10 to the inside.
Sharp will stay driver's left because that's the preferred line into the next corner. He can hold Taylor to the outside if he can stay there in the braking zone.
Taylor takes it in deep. I think he's going to get the position. Wow.
Around the outside now. Taylor puts the pressure on Memo Rojas.
And this is Jordan Taylor. He's taken over the wheel from his brother Ricky Taylor.
We get it. Keep pushing.
You can hear the words of encouragement from the crews here.
And understand, this is his first lap out. He's just feeling his way around still.
Exactly, because Rojas stayed behind the wheel of the 0-1, so he's very much in a rhythm. It's up to Jordan Taylor now to come alive. Remember what he said. We won the final 3 races of last year's championship to take the title. This is what we have to do this year.
Well, they won the Detroit round, the Taylor brothers did, with some hard-fought racing, and they're going to get back to that style if that's what it takes. It's what they said coming in. You ride on board the 42.
Does that kink flat that time? No question about it. Good tires, of course, right now.
Olivier Pla behind the wheel of the 42, the 4th car in your picture there, the 5th car in the picture. Richard Westbrook, remember Michael Valiente had to start that number 90, the blue Corvette, at the back of the field.
Yeah, and he did a tremendous job to pick his way through this massive field here and hand over this car, in really good shape. There's not a scratch on that thing, and cutting through the field like this, that's not an easy proposition, so hats off to him. And Westy is going to be flying here in this 90 machine as soon as he gets those tires up to 10 by feel.
Different power plants up front right now. You have Honda power, you have Ford power, and you have Chevrolet power. And Pla makes the big block on Westbrook heading into 1.
He did, didn't he? Big block.
These guys have traded paint before, the 42 and the 90, that is. Not so much Pla, but certainly Jakob, his teammate, and other co-drivers they had in that squad this year have had a lot of argy-bargy, as we call it, with that 90 car.
Well, the 42 is a P2-based prototype, but with Nissan power, and it seems to have a little better straight line speed than the Hondas do.
Look
side by side.
Westy's having to go the long way around, twitching under braking there.
Pla does everything that he can, but cannot hold Westbrook back.
It's a problem with the inside of the entry to turn 5 is it doesn't have the grip that the outside does. So when you get forced into a pass like that, you can't brake at the same level.
Westbrook back up to 4th, and it was the hard-fought battle between Ricky Taylor in the early goings and Christian Fittipaldi that moved the 10 up to the front. Let's head down to Action Express.
And the number 5 now down to 7th in class. Christian, when you came in, we know there was a question mark about the braking and how the brakes were getting too hot. What condition is the car in now?
Well, hopefully we found the problem. There was a slight problem in the left rear, and maybe we managed to fix it during the pit stop, but from mid-stint onwards, my brake pedal was going down big time, and I had to slow down the pace a lot. Apart from that, everything was fine. Apart from the 10 spinning me out. I don't know what happened over there, but I guess he has his reasons for it. It's a shame that he has to go racing like this, but there's a lot of racing until the end of the year. We have the championship that we have to concentrate on, and hopefully Action Express and Chevy are going to be on the top right at the very end.
We'll see what happens the second half of the race.
Well, I think he brought up a very important point. If he didn't have the braking performance, that maybe that's why suddenly Ricky Taylor thought he could take advantage of him.
Very good point. Right now, Joao Barbosa trying to get past Andy Merrick in the Delta Wing. The Delta Wing with that good straight line speed pulls a car length or two, and Barbosa's going to have to get that done in the tighter portions of the racetrack. In Prototype Challenge, the orange number 25 from 8-Star Motorsports, Sean Rahal. We talked about how that team has really come alive as of late, leads in the category.
Yeah, and this PC class is so competitive. When you look at some of the closing drivers in this field, just stunning stuff. We've got that revelation, Jack Hawksworth, who took that win in the on debut. He's going to be finishing off at RSR here today. Guys like Colin Brown, just really, really top-notch guys.
So leading the championship. This car has been off the pace. It's kind of surprised me. But when I say off the pace, you know what the pace is here is a 1/10 of a second.
Well, but they had a brake issue as well over the last 2 days and could not find the problem. They finally got it sorted, they believe, this morning in morning warm-up, but they chased the problem the entire time. It just did not have the speed that we were used to seeing out of that Core Autosports entry. So look at the 62, the Risi Competizione Ferrari. You talked about the good pit stop and a little bit different strategy that's put them up front in GTLM.
Well, what can happen is sometimes when you got poor track position and you get an early yellow, you're really not losing anything by making that pit stop. You're just going to reassume the position at the back of the pack. Then when you make that next pit stop, suddenly you're putting less fuel on board. You leapfrog around all of these guys, but here we see the chasers there. He's got a pretty nice lead right now.
The blue Porsche that you saw in line is Brian Sellers. The 56 of Dirk Mueller has gotten past him. So Mueller now back up to second in that damaged BMW that John Edwards was involved in that fight with when Scott Mayer had his problem.
Well, again, you know, they'll have been topped up with fuel as well, so they didn't have to put as much fuel on board. Sometimes you have a problem, it can come back and reward you when you make that extra pit stop.
That's called luck.
Well, we heard from Christian Fittipaldi about the little dust up with the 10. Let's hear from Ricky Taylor.
Yeah, so it was Ricky Taylor behind the wheel at the time. And Ricky, we talked to Christian. He was scratching his head about the contact between you and him. It was deemed a racing incident. What happened from your seat?
You know, I feel terrible. You never want to spin someone, but we were racing hard. He knew I was going to be looking in turn 2. We both braked later than normal, so we were both committed fully to the corner. And I guess, you know, he was looking at the corner, I was looking at the corner, and he just didn't see me coming. But I felt like I was at his door, at least with my left front. So, you know, I think we might have gotten away a little bit with one, but still bad for them. But at the same time, we need to go win this race.
There's been a lot of debris on the track, a lot of caution so far. What condition is the car in?
You know, there's been a lot of debris. I didn't really hear the question, but, you know, we got all the good guys in the cars now, so, you know, we really expected to go green for a long time.
All right, thank you.
I think he's a good guy, too.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear him say that. I think we may have gotten away with one because it was very close.
Scott Sharp got up to speed now. He's tucked back up underneath the back of Jordan Taylor.
Westy's coming, too. He just laid a lap in the 58 range, so that's really impressive.
Memo Rojas and Ford Power back out in front here at Road America. Can Chip Ganassi Racing find victory lane once again? It's been since the Long Beach Grand Prix since they've won. On Saturday, Major League Baseball on Fox Sports 1 returns with a doubleheader as Derek Jeter and the Yankees take on the Rays. Then Matt Holliday and the Cardinals square off against the Padres. Coverage begins 3:30 p.m. Eastern right here on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on foxsports.go. Both of those games should be good. On board with Antonio Garcia. Now, in GTLM, all of these teams are required to keep a cockpit temperature at a certain level so the drivers don't get too hot. That's why you see those windows on the side. But Corvette Racing takes a unique approach to make sure that their drivers stay cool.
At Corvette Racing, we have a strong philosophy that the cool driver is a fast driver. So taking care of the driver is really important. We do that in many ways. One very important way is the air conditioning system in the car. We use production-based components such as evaporator housing, the intake filter, which you would have like a cabin filter, the compressor, a refrigerant-based system. Basically, it's all GM parts from GM vehicles that we've integrated together in this car to make a package that cools the driver. We use a ducting, basically, that pulls air from the evaporator housing on the opposite side of the car and forces cold air through the seat, building a bellows, basically, around the driver. So there's constantly cool air flowing around the driver, through his helmet, through a cooling hose, integrating all these pieces together to build a driver compartment that keeps the driver cool, gives him the opportunity to perform at his best.
And it's such a great idea. Back on board the 3, these GT cars, especially with the engine up front, you can get temperatures of 140 plus degrees inside. All of us have driven them when they were like that. You wish they had air conditioner like that when you drove them.
Well, the heat transfer is just unbelievable. You drove them for so many years, Dorsey, and it is brutal conditions in those GT type cars.
It was horrible. I mean, it was one of the factors that I wanted to quit because it was so unbearably uncomfortable. And now you don't have to ship them anymore. You just pull little levers.
Dorsey, if we gain a couple of degrees in the booth now with the AC, you start to complain.
Well, I'm sweating. I don't like sweating.
That's what's wrong with you. You got baked too much in those cars. There's a look at Corvette Racing. Let's check in with Jamie.
Well, it's the number 3 crew that's deserved the air conditioning today. They've already made 3 pit stops. The first one was scheduled, second one unscheduled to repair or replace a punctured tire, third one fuel only. And yeah, that puts you guys in 6th place at the moment. How does that change the strategy now for the rest of this race?
Well, obviously, strategy's changed quite a lot since we started this race. It's unfortunate with the puncture, but at least now we're back with the group just outside of top 3. And that's where we need to try and stay. Antonio's at more or less at the beginning of his stint. So I'll get in next time, but whether he'll go to the end of his stint or there's a yellow and I go in earlier, I don't know. But hopefully it'll just be one more stop for us.
The biggest thing they need to be concerned about is where's the 93 car, and right now it's behind them. When you think championship, yeah, you've got problems, but you've got to work your way through and then pay attention to where your competition is. Everybody's chasing this car right now, the red 62, the Ferrari with Pierre Caffer on board.
Well, it's the first time that his teammate Giancarlo Fisichella has run here at Road America, and he just was totally in awe of this place. Just said it's a fabulous race circuit. Spoke to the team after qualifying yesterday. They're very disappointed. They had some really strong practice runs. Track heated up a little bit in the late going yesterday, and they lost the balance on the race car. But this car is tough, Dorsey. He's got good balance, and Pierre Caffer has been doing a great job since he was brought into this team midway through the season.
You know, sometimes this real long 4-mile racetrack will really bite you, but on the other hand, it takes a long time if you're having trouble to go a lap down, and if you get a caution, you're back in it. You look at the Corvette guys now running up there in the top 3. They're where they need to be. They can still compete. But, I mean, it's a little bit on the luck side. Sometimes it's in your favor, sometimes not. Oh, that was close as the 63 Ferrari just comes back on course.
That's the GTD entry of Scuderia Corsa as the BMW, the 56, goes by. And right now, Dirk Mueller being shown in second place. Richard Leitz in the 911 Porsche right behind in third. So the balance of performance adjustments seem to be working in Porsche's favor right now. And then you go back to the leader in GT Daytona. It's Dane Cameron, his BMW.
See Dane Cameron working his way through turn 1 right now. Really smooth sailing for the Turner Motorsports group. Very happy with the balance of that car and being out front. The only problem is now they've got a Porsche behind them. And I just checked in with the team, and they said with all the other cars in the class behind them, they feel pretty good on the straightaways. But that Porsche is so much quicker on the straightaways. As long as this race stays green, we think we can keep that car behind us. But if we go caution again, it's just going to be easy for that 23 car to attack.
Yeah, it's just on the restarts they're going to be vulnerable. I think the downforce of that Z4 is certainly playing into their hands here today in terms of managing the tires. These long duration corners like the carousel are really a big factor in keeping it to, oh, we see Mario Farnbacher in there really deep. He's wide.
He slides off and the 33 slides by.
Yeah, and that may be that tire deck we're talking about. The Porsche teams were concerned about keeping the rear tires underneath them.
And then moving forward right behind him, you see the 555 Ferrari of Townsend Bell. So he's beginning to put pressure. Bell running fourth. Remember, he and his teammate Bill Sweedler lead the championship.
They keep doing what they're doing here, being in those good point-scoring days, because everyone around them, these guys have led the championships from the very start of the year, winning at Daytona. And then they had to switch a team. Remember, they ran with level 5 there, then they switched to the AIM group starting at Sebring, and what a job Ian Willis and all the guys at AIM Autosport have done to keep this car in the front of the championship. And everyone who's tried to contend for it seems to have a little problem here and there. The 555 have had that consistency to maintain the lead throughout the course of the season.
And they continue to bring partners in. They've got a new sponsor this weekend in Nantucket Buckets, headed by a 17-year-old CEO, Zach Ryan. So they're attracting good sponsorship. Memo Rojas attracting attention because he's our Dodge Viper SRT halfway leader. And that's good news for Ganassi Racing. They seem to have found some stride back here at Road America.
Good news for Ford, too, because that's their effort. That's their #1 car in their effort right now. Ford Motor Company with their EcoBoost engine. They're relying and putting so much faith in all forms of racing now.
Top 5 in this race right now are all on their best times, a 158.5, 158.6. The guy in the 6th spot, the number 5, the championship leader, just ran a 157.8. He's got 3/4 of a second on the guys he's chasing down. Joao Barbosa is coming. He is coming hard.
And this is a little bit of a busy group here. Andy Prio in the 55 BMW leads this pack of angry cars, and the 4's in there.
GTLM, they do put on a show. I mean, these are all the top paid factory drivers. These are the real deal. They do, in fact, this is a war.
Jonathan Bomarito in the 93, the Viper, then the 912 Porsche, Michael Christensen. And it has been busy. This is on board the 93 from a lap ago.
There's Bomarito coming off that big win at Indy. Down this front straightaway. Look at the 912 there. Doing a little bit of bump drafting here, Dorsey.
Yeah, he had a lot of speed with nowhere to go with it, so he used a little bit on the 912. That was close to the brakes.
And a little bumping when you're going straight's not a problem. No. The problem was the Porsche was moving back and forth.
That's right. I'll tell you what, that driver, the number 12, that Dane, Michael Christensen, he's a cool customer.
You know, yeah, that's what's fun about that class. If you get a run and you're in 4th or 5th place, you got to run. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but you got to have somewhere to go with it unless you intend on pushing the guy in front of you. Exactly what he did.
Looking out the back of the number 3 Corvette. Gives you an idea of how quickly they come through those corners, and watch and see if the 93 can pull a little bit of a draft, if Bomarito can gain, and here he comes.
It's pretty even there because he is definitely getting a bit of an advantage by the number 3 car punching the hole in the air. So
definitely.
He's got a free run there, so those cars look really close here.
Plus the cars in
their
front of the
straightaway
3.
speed.
You know, each one of those cars opens up a bit of air, so if you're the 3rd one in line, it's actually pretty optimal to get a tow. And these straightaways, you know, are long enough that these cars reach their top speed that they can make without the draft.
You know, it's great to see these guys fighting so hard. What's unfortunate is that we've missed some cars that did not make the start. The 007 from the Racers group, James Davison, had that problem in the morning warm-up with Sylvain Tremblay from Mazda, and the 2 great teams, 2 great competitors that didn't make the show today. For more, here's Chris Neville.
And Brian, at Indy, we talked to John Doonan from Mazda about the progress you guys were making with the car, really 2 steps forward, but then an accident like we saw in the morning warm-up. Is that 2 steps back? I mean, that was some pretty major damage to the prototype.
It was a big hit, Chris. First, we're glad no one was injured. Sylvain is doing well, a little bruised up. We've measured this program in progress and setbacks. Unfortunately, today was a little setback, but at Mazda, we'll rebound. We never stop challenging ourselves, and that won't put us back too far. 07's having a good run. We're here putting it on for Castrol and ModSpace and all of our partners. Hopefully, we'll have the 70 back for Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, and the good thing is Sylvain okay after that accident. I mean, that was a massive hit, guys. I took a look at that car, the right side of it, major damage to that tub.
I know Sylvain had a huge knot on his right leg just below his right knee, so they weren't talking about doing any x-rays on him, but anytime you can walk away from a crash at the kink, you get the t-shirt.
Really disappointing day for a lot of people involved, particularly for Kevin Butler of TRG. He had a lot of guests here today, guys from Kohler and Orion and some New York wealth management groups looking at getting involved with his team. So to grab the pole and have that great day yesterday and to lose it all this morning was a severe blow to that team.
Severe blow indeed. You're right on board with Jordan Taylor. He just came out of the kink, beginning to put heavy pressure on Memo Rojas. Can he get by? We'll find out when we come back to Wisconsin. This racetrack known for such great close competition. Oh,
Rick! Big crash.
Oh, look at that.
This could get ugly, boys. Oh, look at that. That was close.
Stunning move.
It was a fantastic battle and they've hit.
That was a big hit.
Wow.
Oh, and he drops the wheel.
It was tight, too tight.
That's the kind of action that we see here at Road America, but we're under full course caution because of the problem for Colin Brown down in Canada corner. That car with damage to the right front. We saw it while we were in break. The right front A-arm is broken, and also the steering arm is bent. Take a look.
Gonna get clipped here?
He's defending position there. He's driving all the way to the right there and just gets turned. Then he's going to hit the wall to the left. So Colin was trying to defend that inside line and just gets turned.
Oh, he did a lot more damage than what he thought.
Yeah, he did.
See their immediate right front suspension damage to the race car.
He was thinking that maybe it was just the bodywork and the nose had come off, but that's not the case. You can see the damage to the suspension on the right front.
It's the toe link right there, and it's all bent up. So is the A-frame. The A-frame's broken.
And right rear damage as well. So a bad day for Core Autosport. And we talked about Honda news and notes a little bit earlier. We mentioned Continental Tire signing a new announcement. This is the time of year where you want to make those announcements, and we heard it just the other day.
We are very proud and excited to announce today, officially today, that we've signed an extension with IMSA. We started in 2010, so an extension through 2018 is definitely a long tenure as the official inspect tire of this series. So we couldn't be more excited to be involved in this series. The whole evolution from Grand Am and ALMS into what is now IMSA. This series, the drivers, the teams are all excited for the future and what the future holds in road racing. And Continental Tire is very excited to be involved in all of it.
Well, it makes me really happy. They are great partners of the series, and they do a lot for us.
It's great having Continental Tires come back to support this series. I mean, they've obviously been a long-time supporter of sports car racing, and certainly what we're all trying to go out here and do.
I think to have that continuity, and obviously we know the brand now, we know the people there,
They do a lot for racing, so it's great for us to have them back.
It's great to have Continental on board with us again. The extension through 2018 means that we've got a great tire supplier that's with us, got our backs, and we've got great rubber meeting the ground.
When you talk about tires, you think about stability, but I think the announcement adds stability to the series.
It really does. I mean, they're the spec tire for 3 of the 4 classes, Prototype, Prototype Challenge, and GTD. GTLM remains open tire wars, so that's good to see as well. But, you know, it really, and again, from a budgetary standpoint, you introduce a new tire, suddenly you've got to write a new book, you've got to go testing again, so it really helps with the budgets as well.
And, of course, for them to be able to announce the schedule for next year as well, this early in the season, allows all these teams to make their plans final now. They've been thinking about things, well, now you can go forward.
Well, we saw the problem for Colin Brown. Remember, he and teammate John Bennett are the championship leaders in Prototype Challenge, Jamie.
And unfortunately for them, Brian, I just watched that number 54 go back behind the wall. John, I know they're going to try and repair the car. What work do they have cut out for him?
Yeah, it looks like, you know, we sustained some pretty considerable damage. Colin's a super good driver in the car. I think we had a little bit of help, but that's racing, and I know our guys love a good weekend project, and I think they have one ahead of them. And we'll be back out for sure.
Thank you, John.
That's a good way of saying they've got a lot of work to do. You see right there, he gets turned, Calvin. He hits the wall. You can't see it around the corner, but they got major damage to repair.
And it is certainly disappointing. But coming up next on Fox Sports 1, it's the place to turn to for post-race coverage of Sprint Cups Day at Watkins Glen with NASCAR Victory Lane, featuring complete highlights, reaction, and analysis of the race. Coverage begins next on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. So join John Roberts, Jeff Hammond, and Kenny Wallace. We'll be back. Continental Tire Road Race Showcase continues from Road America. Brian Till, Calvin Fish, and Dorsey Schrader with you. Under full course caution, Memo Rojas leading with Ford power out in front of the Corvette of Jordan Taylor. This is on board with Memo Rojas. Just under an hour to go, and this is on board with Jordan Taylor, just talking to his crew members just moments ago.
On the restart, you're going to go to map 3, and then we need you to push as hard as you can to get around Rojas. As hard as you can, do whatever you have to do.
And the reason they need him to push hard, there were a handful of cars, Dorsey, you took this opportunity to make a pit stop. The championship leader did it. The Action Express number 5, the number 1, the 42, the 60, they're topped up with fuel. Too far to go if we stay green, but if everyone comes in, their pit stop, the next one will be really short. These guys are going to need almost a full fuel load to get to the finish.
But for Jordan Taylor, the really bad deal was when the crew chief said, do whatever you have to do, because now if he makes contact with the Ganassi car, it seems like it was premeditated, which it might not have been, so he's going to have to behave himself.
We talked about pit lane is one of those places where the crews can get the job done for you. This is Prototype Challenge cars pitting. Sean Rahal to the left of the screen in the 25. Ringer Van de Zande in the 8 to the right of the screen.
Wow, that was a bit unnecessary.
Bouncing off each other.
Two young Chargers going hard at it.
Well, they said if they got to the end and they were side by side at the pit lane speed limit, as long as they didn't speed, they could do whatever they had to do.
You've got to ascertain where you are in the order when you cross the line, because otherwise you'll be passing under the yellow.
It was definitely rude.
So now pit lane is open for GT.
Well, this is going to be key, because I think these guys with 54 minutes on the board should be able to make it to the checkered flag without another pit stop, so they need to execute right here.
And look, all on the same pit lane speed limiter.
GT Daytona, you looked at the 555 of Townsend Bell, now the 94 in.
Yeah, when you talk GT, we're talking GTD and GTLM. Last time they were all in pit lane, very congested down here. I imagine we're going to see that again this time. The 94 Dane Cameron's been able to maintain the front, and he's going to hopefully get the Turner crew to keep him out front. Just doing left side tires on this car, try and maintain the front in GTD. Hey, Jamie?
Well, the 62 pitted from the lead. That Risi Ferrari Pierre Capper staying behind the wheel. Talking to the engineer, Rick Mayer, he said, we have to stop here. They can make it about 46 minutes on fuel. That's without another caution. That's what they're going to hope for. Very clean pit stop, 4 new Michelin tires. The 55, 56 BMWs also took the opportunity to pit. It was a slower stop for the 56. The 55 still in. Being held up here, though, one of the crew members telling him to stop. He kept accelerating. They now have to pull him back. So hold up here for the 55.
congested, to say the least. And you saw it once again down at the far end of pit lane. The Corvettes, the Porsches, fighting for position to get out. On board the 55, the BMW from Team Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. It's Road America, the Continental Tire Road Race Showcase. There's more coming your way. Fox NFL Sunday returns with a preseason. Next week, Fox NFL Sunday returns with a preseason special as Jamal Charles and the Chiefs take on Cam Newton and the Panthers. The action starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Where has the year gone? Football starting already.
My wife Heather's going to be really happy about that.
Before we go back to green, let's check quickly in the pits with Chris.
Well, Ed Brown, Johannes van Overbeek got the win at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca earlier this year. Right now, running fourth, but the team doing very well today. But you guys announced some pretty cool news coming up in Austin later this year.
Yeah, you know, both cars are doing well today. We're going to switch to a fuel strategy here and see what happens. But, yeah, we're going to run the WEC race with the one car, and that'll be a lot of fun, do a little 6-hour race out there.
What's that going to be like trying to change over to that different format?
I don't know. I'm the only one that's doing it. So, you know, I'll probably do limited time in the Tudor car, to be honest with you, and in practice. And then, you know, I'll give Johannes a stint and a half to start, and then I'll go rest and get ready for the WEC race. Yeah,
it'll be a busy weekend at Circuit of the Americas for this team. They're going to run the Tudor race with one car, and then they're going to run the WEC, the 6-hour race, with the other car.
It's going to be a great sports car weekend down in Austin. It's a fantastic facility. We'll have the Tudor Series there, Continental Tire, WEC.
6-hour WEC. We haven't seen those cars since Le Mans, so that's going to be a good event for those guys. Everybody get reacclimated.
And news today, we're going to be on the Big Fox network for that one.
That's
so
fantastic.
It's a lot of fun.
And the American flag waves as Chevrolet will compete there in a Corvette. Tommy Milner, Ricky and Jordan Taylor will run the WEC race. This is intriguing what's setting up front, fuel strategy-wise. Jordan Taylor is going to be on it when we go back to green, but be interesting to see how the fuel strategy plays out, Calvin.
I'll tell you what, the number 5 car in particular, and the guys right behind the 1, the 42 and the 60, they have got a lot of fuel on board and they have good track position. They're right behind these guys. These guys need a lot of fuel, and those guys are chasing them down hard.
Told Jordan Taylor to go to number 3. Cars just coming out of the pits. This is going to play into it.
Oh, look at this. They did not need this right now.
No, they didn't. This is going to stack it up at some point.
He moves to the right-hand side. Hopefully these prototype cars can see him there.
Work past the 81, but now they also have another Porsche. That is the 81 right there, but right at the apex of turn 3. And Olivier Pla really saw
somebody turned
on
around
the wheel.
back there.
Yeah, one of the
PC
PC cars.
Yeah, I think that was all on his own, though. I don't think he...
I believe it might have been the 85 of Steven Simpson. Down into turn 5. Taylor taking a look. Memo Rojas being defensive.
Look at the Delta Wing. Andy Merrick looking really aggressive, but right behind him.
Here comes Taylor to the inside for 6. He's got it.
Well, they said be aggressive, do whatever you can to get the lead. He's on full reach in terms of maximum power from that Chevrolet engine. Jordan Taylor takes the lead.
Memo Rojas shuffled back to second. Scott Pruitt looking on. Has not been in the car yet. 46 minutes to go from Road America.
Look at this. Action Express number 5 up to the 3rd spot and full of fuel.
And guys, you were talking about that fuel strategy, the 01 deciding not to come in. They wanted to run this down to about 45 minutes, so they just have to do one more stop, and we can see Scott Pruitt now has his helmet on. So as soon as we get down right in that 45 minute range, I think you're going to see the 01 come to pit lane for that final stop.
Yeah, quick correction there. The number 5 is up to the 5th spot, but Chris, those guys topped up, so those guys who took the opportunity to make a pit stop, they got a ton more fuel on board, and they got decent track position. So the 4 cars that lead right now, they're going to have problems.
And one more full course caution, and it may play that they don't have to pit yet again. If they do pit, it's just a quick splash, and another caution, they may not have to come at all.
That's why they're driving so hard, too. They know that, at least the team manager should know that the strategy is not going to work in their favor.
Impressed with Andy Merrick, Catherine Legg, and the entire Delta Wing team with what they've done here today. Merrick being shown in 5th.
Here he comes right now, popping out. Unique shaped car. Should be good at this racetrack. It's meant to be really aggressive on long straightaway.
Tell you what, the strength of this number 5 car, as he looks to the inside of Richard Westbrook, he needs to be calm here. He is really sitting in the perfect spot. He does not need to get aggressive. They should assume the lead of this motor race after the final pit stops here today. So don't throw it all away. Joao Barbosa. So we see another car spinning off there.
It looks like the 42.
And this one's in the gravel trap. That's the 42, and it might be in the wall.
He started up here in the braking zone.
Yeah, he spun in the brake zone. I saw that happening. Couldn't tell what car it was.
Frenchman Olivier Pla behind the wheel. Full course. So you're going to see the leaders come to pit lane right now. And then the question is, Joao Barbosa could come and only need a splash, or they may be able to stretch it now without needing more fuel on board.
And the important part of the splash, everybody else is going to have to take a full load. They may only take a few gallons, so even if they came in together, the stop would be so much shorter they could leapfrog competitors on pit lane.
He lost his wing and everything, so he's been in the wall.
You can see it starts back up in the brake markers. There was some of the signage that was gone. So I don't know if he got together with someone up there or just locked rear brakes.
Yeah, locked rear brakes on the first lap out. That could happen too.
Close battle there between DL, Pla, and Negri at that time. So we'll have to wait and see a replay, see what exactly happened.
Marks look strange. It seems like they start from the middle of the racetrack.
I don't see it here.
On board here with Johannes van Overbeek. Do you see Pla there? Right up ahead.
They were up there, but that didn't do it. This might, though.
So Van Overbeek right behind.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep, that'll do it.
Oh, man.
Oh. It just shows you how quickly it happens. I mean, under braking anyway, weights on the front of the car. You get somebody to hit you from behind, and the rear end is gone. Significant damage to the 42.
You can't, you can't protect. He didn't do anything wrong. He got down in the brake zone. He just got run over.
And I'll tell you what, this totally takes them out of championship contention. There's only 2 rounds left after the conclusion of this one, and this is a car and a team that has shown so much speed. There you see the damage to the front end of the Patron machine.
That could be substantial too, Calvin, as far as rigidity of the chassis goes.
Jakoman 4th in the championship when they came in here, and as you said, Calvin, they'll collect very few points at the end of the day.
You don't want to ride a car around here that's damaged with aero problems because of the speed around here. It's such, it's not safe with that whole front splitter knocked off. This car, unfortunately, is not going to continue today, I don't think. They might get it back out. 40 minutes left.
So Olivier Pla walking away, and
tough in the body language. He is not impressed.
No, he's not happy. I think he wants to go out to the track and do something.
He's being escorted to
there's the guy
safety
who
vehicle,
turned it coming through the corner right now. So we've seen things thrown here before, Brian, over the years. From
Yep. Not by me.
This one not here, but you've thrown stuff every other circuit.
No, I just threw it at Mid-Ohio. Was the only place I threw it. Let me just say, Nick Kunewalder's a good guy, but I didn't like him much back in 1989 when I threw the steering wheel at him. But that's another story altogether. While we're having fun, Gustavo Jakoman is not. His championship hopes being dashed, Jamie.
Yes, when I walked down here, I saw his head in his hands, shaking your head, Gustavo. Disappointment now. What happened from what you saw?
Well, Van Overbeek just obliterated took us out. I mean, anyone that saw the incident can see that he just hit us from behind and sent us to the wall. It's a shame, we've had a really, really tough weekend. Our pace hasn't been great. We've had a mechanical failure in practice too. I made a mistake in the warm-up, and now this is the 3rd time we hit the wall this weekend. So things weren't meant to be this weekend. Our championship chances are, I guess, completely over now. But overall, really, really disappointed. The BOP here was a complete joke. For us in the P2 cars, there's absolutely nothing that we can do. I think we might as well race in the PC class in this track because there's nothing that we can do. So really sad, especially for the guys in the team. They just work so hard, stay up late to get this car out there, and it's a shame that some dumbass takes us out the way he just did. So we move on into Austin and Road Atlanta, trying to get some wins and finish the year strong.
Thank you.
Sorry about the language there. Obviously, emotions boiling over for Gustavo Jakoman, and he talked about the problems that they've had throughout. I will say, though, his driving this year has been very impressive. He's matured a lot behind the wheel and out of the car, but this is an emotional sport, and you just saw it.
It's been a very expensive weekend for this team, I can tell you that. That's the 3rd time this car has been wrecked pretty badly this weekend, and they've worked very hard to get it to where it was today. So
this is, you love this stat here. Points as they run, Dorsey.
See, if the world ended, I'd agree with you. but
I tell you what,
not.
that's going to be shaken up before the end of the day, because a bunch of these leaders right now need to make a pit stop, and that number 5 car should assume the lead of this motor race unless something goes wrong.
And that's why Dorsey hates it, because it could change at any moment. You've already seen that throughout the race here at Road America. We'll be back. Jordan Taylor leads overall from Wisconsin. Cars beginning to pit here under this full course caution. We knew that they would. These cars that you see, these prototypes, they all need fuel, but the strategy that we talked about in the last segment working right now for Action Express. The 0-1 to the mark.
Yeah, I don't know how tight it is for the 5 or the 1, but I would have thought they might come in and just top up, because they'd still get the track position leaving pit lane, because their stops would be so much slower or quicker than everybody else. But the 0-1 in, Scott Pruitt finally behind the wheel after Memo Rojas just doing an incredibly long run, running up in first and second for most of this race. But 4 tires fuel, 4 Continental tires on the 0-1. Jamie?
And it's very similar pit stop for the 10. Jordan Taylor staying behind the wheel of the car. 4 new Continental tires. Make sure you keep the wheel straight. He performed beautifully. He also made it out of the pits faster.
That was huge. Now the red light on at pit out, so they've got to be.
See that?
Yep.
Pruitt nearly ran into the back of Westbrook there. Red light, everyone had to stop. You got to wait for that train of cars to go through, and that is really easy to make a mistake on cold tires. You could see Pruitt there had to take evasive action there, not to run into the back of the 90 car of Richard Westbrook.
We've seen a lot of penalties lately. Guys not seeing that red light.
Well, Max Angelelli at the 6 hour, remember when he drove with the 10 squad, missed the red light and cost them a drive-through penalty.
It was a good call by Jordan Taylor to see it and stop. We've had a penalty earlier today for running that red light at pit out. This is on board with Scott Pruitt.
Watch this. He probably can't. Look at that. Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. He just didn't want to lock up the tires.
Exactly.
He saw it nice and easy.
Yeah, he didn't want to lock up on those new tires.
Scott Pruitt now in the 0-1, but Memo Rojas, man, what a stint, Chris.
Yeah, huge stint by Memo Rojas, and he's not even sweating. And Memo, you know, you had to sit out at Indy because of back problems. A long run like today. How is the back?
It's okay. I mean, I want to thank Telmex Chip Ganassi Racing for having me back in the car. I really missed it. It's the first time I missed a race in 20 years, I think. And, you know, car is pretty good on the first half of the stint. Afterwards, it gets pretty loose, so it's hard to drive. Obviously, it's quick enough to lead the pace. Really disappointed with what IMSA did. They threw out 2 GT cars in the middle of the start. That screwed us up getting to turn 2. Got a bad run and got passed by the 10 cars. So, you know, we have a car. I think we have a car to win. So, you know, it's a long way to go.
Yeah, you've had some great battles out there with the 10 car. Is it faster in certain spots?
I mean, it feels like they're faster on the high speed. I mean, I don't know if they got more downforce. We're even on the straightaway. But, like, I cannot do anything to them, like, in corners like the carousel or fast stuff. They're pretty quick.
Well, Memo's saying that car a bit loose on the second half of that stint. Well, that's what Scott Pruitt likes.
Yeah, exactly right. He can handle a loose race car, so that may be right in Scotty Pruitt's wheelhouse.
Hats off to Memo, though. I mean, he has undergone a lot of stress this year. Good to see him back.
Check back in with Jamie.
Well, I mentioned what a good and quick stop it was for that number 10 machine. I need to correct something that I said. They actually only took 3 tires. They did not take a right front, so that certainly saved them some time on pit lane. See if it makes a difference at the end of the race.
Well, it's critical. It gained them track position with the cluster who came in together, but I'm sure we just saw some body language there from Jordan Taylor. I think he'd been on the radio. His hand went in the air like, how come the 5 car is leading? I'm sure they have to pit, and then the message would have been, no, they're good. So he's saying, how did we get in this position? We were leading.
But I think that's a good call on the tire. It allows you to leapfrog on pit lane. The right front tire here gets used very little. The majority of the corners, right-hand corners. So it may be slightly unstable under braking for the first lap or 2, but then it should come in fine. Here's your race recap. Barbosa now in front. So our Continental Tire race recap showing the PC leader is Ringer van de Zande. Pierre Caffer, that's impressing me with the Ferrari up there in the lead in GTLM, and Dane Cameron holds on to the point in GTD and his BMW. 5 cautions for 14 laps. That's the thing that you don't like to see here at Road America because those cautions are so long.
You know, you think about it, turn 13 is the only left-hander that you're in for any length of time with any speed. All the rest of the left-handers, turn 5, turn 6, turn 8, those are all relatively low speed, not a lot of stress on the outside front tire.
And Chris brought up a really good point. He thought that maybe some of those guys who are good on fuel might have come in just to top up so they can run full rich the rest of the way. I think one car in that lead pack is the P2 configuration machine, the Patron car of Ryan Dial. He sits in second spot right now. Joao Barbosa up ahead of him. That P2 car does not get the same mileage as the Daytona prototype, so they may be the only guys in this lead pack who may be a little bit skinny on fuel, but I think right now they're not in the championship in terms of the big points. They just want to win races.
And Joao Barbosa wants to take back over the points lead. On board, right there, there's the Corvette, and you know, Corvette Racing, the entire team always works so hard on the weekends, but Dan Binks, especially when we come up here to Wisconsin, works very hard at a charity event for a camp that his family has been involved with for years and years, and always such a great turnout. Corvette lovers love the racetrack, and they love helping out with Camp Anakiji. Dan Binks raising lots of money for the kids.
So the auction is for Camp Anakiji, and we've done it, this is I think the 5th year. It looks like we're just over $20,000, maybe $21,000 for this time, and you know, roughly that'll send 40 or 50 kids to camp. So very exciting for us. The Corvette fans came out and supported us, and we raised a lot of money today.
You know, the fans support him, the paddock supports him. I know Greg Pickett, Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, was a big supporter when they were here on the weekends and stuff, and it's just great to see. We talked about how well the Delta Wing has been running. Let's check in with Chris.
Yeah, the Delta Wing running up in the top 5 for a while today. Right now, running 9th out there. And Tim, you've really changed this program around. You've obviously been in motorsports for so many years, but diving into this program in the spring, really developing this car to a new level.
Yeah, I'm really proud of all the guys at Delta Wing. I mean, it's been a work in progress, and it's still continuing. We got a lot of development coming on, especially for next year, but like I say, especially since Canada, with having the unfortunate incident with the fire and having to start from scratch basically, and we build everything in-house. So it's been a lot of work, but it's actually, it's fun. I enjoy where I am right now. I'm in a good place.
Yeah, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, that was obviously a setback, but what are some goals before we get to Petit Le Mans?
The goal is, I mean, our pace continuing to improve, and we're doing a test there in early September, and going to do basically a race simulation. And we got a few things I can't really tell you about, but we're trying to get the reliability and the performance just upped up just a little bit more before we get there. So, like I said, it's coming along. In 2015, I think you'll be really surprised.
Yeah, we're starting to see some reliability and speed out of that car. Brian?
A huge problem on the racetrack.
Yeah, this is not
Jordan
good.
Taylor
the 10 car
is off at the entry to the carousel. In the tire wall,
I don't know.
hard.
Wow.
What
I don't
could
know
have
if he
caused
got
this?
turned. Wow, this is almost deja vu for the team, because young Ricky Taylor had a moment here a couple of years ago when he lost control in court. Look at Jordan.
No steering.
He's got no steering.
He's got no steering, and I think that probably is what happened here. I'm not sure of that.
Now remember, there was contact between Ricky Taylor and Christian Fittipaldi earlier in this race on the left front.
See if we have a look and a listen.
I don't know what
that was
about.
weird. He didn't lose control. Something broke.
Look at him. He's like, he's got his hands up in the air.
I wonder if that left front took a hit there in that moment that Ricky Taylor had with Christian Fittipaldi earlier in this race. Wow, what drama here. Championship on the line.
Let's go to Jamie.
Well, the look on Wayne Taylor's face says a lot. Wayne, what happened?
I don't know. Jordan said the steering broke. And you can see in the cockpit the steering wheel just spinning around, and he turned and hit the wall.
Any indication that it could have come from that earlier contact with the 5 car?
No, there was very little contact, actually. I mean, to break a steering, you got to, if you're going to have contact, you'll have big contact. I don't know. We had, yeah, this is definitely not the way we wanted it to go.
So what is the hope now for this team as we look at the rest of the season and the championship implications that this has?
Well, they're not very good at the moment. We just got to keep pushing and doing what we do and try and, you know, try and score maximum points every race. But this is pretty bad.
Obviously, guys, the team will take the car back to the paddock, take a look at it, and see what they find.
Jordan Taylor climbing in the safety vehicle after a very bizarre incident. That will keep the full course caution out. The Continental Tire Road Race Showcase, there'll be more coming your way right after this. Tonight, don't miss Fox Sports Live as they bring you all the news and highlights from a full day of Major League Baseball and the final day of the PGA Championship. Fox Sports Live is tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Joao Barbosa in the lead of the Continental Tire Road Race Showcase from Road America, and this caution is going to be lengthened because of the problem for Jordan Taylor in a very, very bizarre but fortunate incident down at the entry to the carousel. And I say fortunate because it happened under caution.
He's scrubbing his tires right here. What you do is you get on the throttle, get on the brake. You see him?
Down in gear, working with the fuel mixture there.
Watch here.
There.
He turned back to the left and the car never turned.
Something just broke on him in the wall. Something broke in the steering.
And I think Wayne Taylor is spot on. I don't think it is the hit that he had or his brother had earlier in this race, because nothing's connected. Look at this replay. Nothing is connected. If it was just one side that had broken, that steering rack would be connected to the other side of the suspension. Now, I'm trying to recall something here. They tested at Indianapolis a couple of months ago and had some kind of steering rack issue there during testing. I wonder if it's kind of a replay of that.
There's three things that can happen right there. Right where I drew that circle, that's where the quick release on the steering is. There's a gear there, and that gear is welded onto the shaft. That could have broken. If you follow the shaft down, it goes through a knuckle before it goes to the steering rack itself. If that came disconnected, it would have no steering input. Or if it's stripped a gear in the rack itself, it could do that as well. However, that's highly unusual. I've never, ever seen it happen.
Not the day that the 10 team needed, but right now in GTLM, the 62 still continues to lead, Jamie.
And they're coming off of a podium finish in Indianapolis, finishing second. Giancarlo, another strong run for the team today. What's been the turning point for you guys?
Well, yesterday wasn't a good qualifying session for us. We started 9th, but our pace in the race was much better. The car was much better today. We fixed a better setup, and I was able to recovering some position from 9th to 5th. Then we did a fantastic pit stop. The guys did a fantastic job, and we came out first. Even the second pit stop, we came out first again. We have a good pace. Fingers crossed, we are in a good shape. Yeah.
Yes, great execution. I'm going to stay up here for a little bit. There's a nice breeze, Chris.
Also a good breeze down here at Mike Shank Racing, sitting in 3rd place. And Mike, you and I have talked over the last few weeks about it's difficult to hit the sweet spot with this car, but this car's been quick all weekend long, so it looks like you found it at Road America.
You know, Oz and John have done a great job on our Ford EcoBoost, and we're in a great position here. 6 guys didn't pit on 2 yellows ago, and we're not sure why they didn't. They're paying the price now, and we have a 3-way shootout for the win here.
So you guys are good on fuel?
Oh, yeah. Full power. Full power.
Full power, full power. And I go back to Jordan Taylor's incident, and I said it was fortunate because think about this. If we had gone back to green, and some of these high-speed corners, turn 1, the kink, the carousel, even going down into Canada Corner when you went to the brakes, if you had lost your steering, it would have been a huge, huge problem.
And it's going to break on the highest load areas, and the highest load areas are the highest straightaway speeds would be turn 1, the same ones you talked about. Turn 1, turn the carousel, the kink. That's pretty bad.
Well, Mike Shank talked about why the leaders didn't, or the guys who weren't in the lead didn't make that pit stop, and we've got some radio here from the Action Express team who did take that pit stop and top up with fuel. Let's listen in.
Keep saving fuel. The more you save now, the more full fuel running you can do towards the end of the race. Copy.
Just make sure when you call me in, that's one of the points I'm going to get a lot of traffic, so I don't lose time in traffic, then in speed.
Yeah, but if you save a little fuel, we're not going to be coming into you. That's my point.
Yeah, and I think that with this extended yellow, ironically from the guys they're fighting in the championship, this is playing into their hand. They've got to be good on fuel right now. Mike Shank said we can go full power.
Well, the cards are being played. They're laying out on the table now. Who will win from Road America? Your championship leaders lead. There's a look at the 10 from Wayne Taylor Racing. Not the way it wanted to return to the paddock. They were hoping that they would stop at Spray Champagne and Victory Lane first. It's not going to happen today with the steering failure. And that is, it couldn't be any worse because the people that they're fighting for the championship, as I said, going to break, are leading Joao Barbosa and Christian Fittipaldi up front in Prototype Challenge. Ringer Van de Zande and then Sean Rahal. Rahal's had a great run. He was fighting earlier with Jack Hawksworth, who won at Indy, and for a young guy like Sean Rahal to be in front of a current IndyCar driver, that had to be huge for him.
Well, these guys have been battling even in pit lane, so goodness knows what it's going to be like when we actually do it on the racetrack for real.
Gunnar Janut snuck up in there in 3rd place right now, too.
They're having a strong run, he and Frankie Montecalvo.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's important for that team because they've struggled a bit this year, PR1 guys, so good to see them run up front.
This is interesting right here. There's your DTLM leader, the number 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari. Right behind him is the GTD leader, Dane Cameron. So the GTLM cars, the 1st and 2nd place cars, are split by the GTD leader. So this is going to be really interesting as we go back to green.
However, the 2 cars you're talking about happen to be BMWs, both of them.
Somewhat the same.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a call on the radio.
Well, I don't think there needs to be. Dane Cameron's pretty heady young driver, and he realizes that his future with a manufacturer might lie in the fact that he helps out his faster class brethren. The green flag flies again. Joao Barbosa is on it.
Here comes Oz Negri trying to make a move on DL. DL's going to fight this one really hard. He has to try and maintain this position.
Oz tries under. He's going to try to run down the inside toward turn 5. DP car's strong there.
I was talking to Oz Negri earlier, and he said they made some changes to the front suspension. It has really worked. Still, the setup window on the Ford Riley just a little bit smaller than they feel like it is on the Corvettes. They've got to be spot on to find the speed. There's the GTLM leader.
Here comes Dirk Mueller. Remember the damage on the car from the very beginning of this race. Dirk Mueller trying to put the pressure on the 62 car, going down into turn 5. In the dirt here, down into the brake zone.
This is the place where you can get all kind of trouble you don't want.
Barbosa leading overall, but you're right on board the 912, Michael Christensen.
He's got around his teammate Richard Leitz for the 3rd spot. Now he's going to try and take it to the BMW and the Ferrari. Remember, this Porsche has got some balance of performance changes coming in here. More aero, more power, more fuel. They should be strong.
They didn't show everything they had, I don't believe, in practice or qualifying. They waited till race time. They pulled the trigger, and now they are fighting up front.
Right there up front, as a matter of fact. The next 2 cars in front of us. Right on board with the 93 right there.
Saw Dirk Mueller really wide there coming off of turn 8. Ferrari continues to lead in the hands of Pierre Caffa.
Right now, Jonathan Bomarito, the red Viper in your shot there, running a little bit further back. Important that they get a good finish here right now. They're 5th in GTLM, but the leaders in the GTLM championship, Jen Magnussen in his number 3 Corvette, back in 8th.
This could be a huge day for Wittmer and Bomarito here running in the 4th spot. They've got momentum on their side. They've gone 3-2-1 the last 3 rounds of this championship.
Another podium finish for Bomarito and Wittmer. If the Corvette finishes further back, it'll be a big points day for them.
Let's watch straightaway speed here. See if the Porsche in the draft of that BMW can make any ground up.
And while all the different drivers complain about straight line speed right now in GTLM, we've got Ferrari over BMW, over Porsche, over Viper. 4 different manufacturers running up front.
Look at that. Dirk Mueller having to defend that inside line. 31 car, the Whelen Corvette is having a strong day here.
He didn't want that car getting between him, but it's going to now, as it's taken that slot right away.
Well, Joel Miller in the Sky Active Mazda prototype is back there as well. He'll be moving forward, and Bomarito really beginning to put pressure on Christensen.
He does, and they have a lot of speed in the mid part of this straightaway, but as we saw later in the run, the Porsche seems to come on a little bit strong. Christensen taking it deep down into turn 5.
He left it right in the middle of the road, too, so you really wasn't a lot of room on either end.
Well, and frustrating for a driver, the braking zone into 5 is not straight. It's got a little kink in it, so you can kind of cheat a little bit, stay over there and block. 911 serving a penalty, a stop and hold for 20 seconds. The 38 is holding for 60 seconds for the contact that we saw earlier from Ostella into the back of the 54 of Colin Brown. On board with Joel Miller. It's the GT Le Mans battle just in front.
Only one of these cars in the field after his team boss and teammate Sylvain Tremblay had a massive crash here this morning in the morning warm-up coming into this corner. The King, high-speed section of the racetrack, Silicon at the inside of James Davison. They had contact, big crash. They didn't make the start.
Yeah, both cars out. That was a shame.
And you saw Bomarito make the move over to the middle of the racetrack, just saying, no, not now, not here. I'm going to block that for you right now, send you a message. Yes. You may get me down the front straightaway, but it's not going to happen here.
It's posturing, and it's good because it lets the other driver know what your intention is.
There's been a lot of talk. This battle, the intensity of the battle in GTLM has got the attention of a lot of the prototype drivers because they say these guys are just so aggressive. We've got faster race cars, but they're really, really putting it on the line here in GTLM. They don't want to give up any lap time whatsoever and make way for the faster prototype cars.
Joao Barbosa told under full course caution to save fuel. The more fuel you save, the harder you can run. Are they good to go?
Well, it's going to be close if they are. This is getting close, speaking of.
Yeah, this is going to be a great little battle here.
Bomarito
right looks to the inside. Christensen tries to defend, but Bomarito has the track position, takes away third spot.
I like that little nudge, too. It's like, don't even think about this one. I don't like the way those guys are hitting all those exit curbs, too. That's going to hurt somebody's suspension.
You raised the question of, is Joao Barbosa good to the end? I just checked in with the team, and they said not only are we good, but he can push to the checkered flag. Also, that brake cooling issue that we saw earlier, it has been fixed, so he's got a solid car underneath him.
Well, and I don't think he's going to have to worry about fuel.
We're going to get a full course caution exit to turn one. One of the Porsches in there solidly into the gravel trap.
It might be the 48 Audi from Paul Miller Racing.
This is our number 6 caution that just came out.
So this will be a short yellow. We're within 15 minutes of the end of the race, and crews will go to work and remove this car as quickly as they possibly can, get it out of the way, and we'll get back to racing. This is down in turn 1.
That was a bit strange. Looked like he was in trouble early before the corner in the brake zone.
But if you've got problems with your brakes in turn 1, that's the way you want it to end up. We've seen bigger problems down there. Gunter Schuldock's crash from several years ago where he actually left the ballpark. So for Joao Barbosa, everything going his way right now. Fuel should not be a concern, and he's got just about 14 minutes to the checkered flag. We'll be back. 6 full course caution still out at Road America. Let's take this opportunity to catch you up with the action from the drop of the green. Patrick Long down into turn 5. Only 2 laps in the books. He spins.
Had some contact between the Porsche and the BMW earlier this season. Then this was a big one. Scott Mayer loses control of the 78 car, collects our leader in the LMPC category, our pole sitter, the 09 from RSR.
Duncan Endy, big hit right there. He gets pile driven into the guardrail.
Also did some damage to the 56 BMW, that tire bouncing around.
Yep.
Bit of contact here between Dominic Farnbacher and John Bennett.
It's the beginning of a bad day for the 54 car. And look at this.
Battle for the lead. Ricky Taylor to the inside, Dorsey.
And a little bit of contact. He puts Christian Fittipaldi around into the grass.
Onboard look. By Ricky Taylor's admission, maybe I had gotten away with one there, but we were fighting hard. I talked about the 54 having a bad day. That's when it got even worse.
And that was Colin Brown getting turned into the wall right there. And subsequent front end damage took that car back to the pits.
More contact after a restart down in turn 3.
Johannes van Overbeek gets into the back of Olivier Plan. Watch this, turns it hard into the concrete wall. Day is over for the 42 machine.
So is the championship.
And this crazy deal, Jordan Taylor going along there when the steering wheel breaks.
Even at low speed, that had to be really scary and weird from inside the cockpit. And what a blow to their championship hopes.
And you could see the look even in his eyes, and certainly with his hand motion. What was that?
I had the steering wheel break like that once on me too, and that's just a terrible deal. And certainly something needs to be addressed there.
Well, and as we said, fortunate that it happened where it did.
Absolutely.
I know it doesn't make him feel any better, but it could have been so much worse.
He could be feeling a lot worse. I mean, this is not a place to mess with, and to have a failure of that type. Oof.
Safety car heads to pit lane, and now Joao Barbosa 10 minutes away from another victory.
Great.
You've got to hold on. Ryan DL behind is going to push. So is Oswaldo Negre.
Oh, contact on the front straightaway, I think, as the Camp Boggy Creek PC entry is into the wall.
He's got it gathered up. He's running down the inside. He's okay.
Negri gets around DL for second.
DL going to fight back. Can he do anything down into turn 3? Not now, but can he get a run off the corner?
Now, can Negri get a win for the first time? Long time for him.
Barbosa is hooked up. He got through turn 3 there with a lot more apex speed than Negri right behind him. He gaps him immediately.
Chevy versus Ford now, and all for the win here.
Honda right behind, sitting there in third with the #1 Patron machine.
This is where the Honda will come into its own. Ryan DL through the tighter sections and then the fast corners here in the back. It's where the P2 will be a little bit more nimble and have slightly better aerodynamics.
Great day for Bert Frizzell, the Wheeling Engineering number 31. DP Corvette sitting in the 4th spot.
Let's check in on the 31 team with Chris.
Yeah, and Bert Purcell behind the wheel today because Boris said competing at Watkins Glen in the Sprint Cup race. Eric Curran, you guys are having a great run. It's been a difficult transition this year for wheeling up to prototype, but great run today.
Yeah, this is awesome. Bert's out there running in 4th place, and basically, you know, I started the race for a change without having Boris here, but ran top 5 all day, and this thing's been strong, and we keep getting better and better and better. It's been an uphill battle with this Wheeling Engineering Corvette, going from GT to DP, but look at us now. We're in the top 5, and so we're getting close to the front. It's taking us a little while, but we're getting there, and we're looking forward to next year as well.
Yeah, already in his street clothes because he's got a tight flight, so he's probably not wanting to win this race because he'll miss that flight.
I'll probably ride with Chris because I know the way Chris gets out of races.
He'll be leaving in 5 minutes.
Wheeling Engineering have a good history here. Won a GT race here in the Rolex Series a couple of years ago.
Well, it shows you how difficult it is to move into the prototype category. It's a completely different ball game. There's the 62. This is the restart. Look a little bit further back.
Watch there, Gunnar Jeanette gets turned into the pit wall there.
Oh, and they were together a long time,
May have been the number 7.
I believe it was.
We had just talked about how good that car was having a run.
So on board the 93.
That could have been so much worse.
Saw Richard Westbrook coming around through there. I think it was the 7. Down the hill. The 01 being pressed a little bit by the
Dirk
2.
Mueller. He's going to get a run off at turn 3. He's going to try and attack for the lead in GTLM on that Ricci Ferrari, going down towards turn 5.
In the draft, he's not making his intentions known.
The Ferrari stretch it there.
Yeah, he got legs.
C4 is quick over the lap, but it certainly doesn't have the straightaway speed as most of its competitors does.
That was pretty apparent there.
Yeah, ran him down the straightaway very well. It has been, straight line speed has not been what the Ferrari has been lacking. They were looking for more downforce, and they got a different downforce package back at Indianapolis.
Also lost some weight, and that kind of brought that car alive.
I need to do that. Will that make me feel better?
That's what your wife said.
Absolutely. Back to prototype challenge. The 8, Ringer Van de Zande in front of Sean Rahal. We talked earlier about how Rahal and Luis Diaz have just gelled so well for 8-Star Motorsport.
Rahal is coming. He put it all on the line there through the King, using every inch of the racetrack and a little bit more over the curb. He has got his head down. He is going for a win.
And so does Richard Westbrook, running 5th in the prototype category right now. He's now closed into the back of the 31.
Look at this battle raging.
Good run off the corner.
Oh, Mueller's all the way off the road, using all of the curb and more.
Yeah, he tried to get a run up, tried to get inside for this corner. Didn't make it, though.
He's going to have to be selective as to where he gets by. The damage on the left front of the BMW from the opening lap. Issues that after Scott Mayer's crash. He's going to have to get this done in the tighter sections of the racetrack. And Sean Rahal not letting Ringer Van de Zande get away.
That 25 car has been really weird looking. Watch it bounce around like it's got a really strange shock package.
They seem to have a lot of control, what we call a lot of rebound in the car, where it doesn't allow the suspension to go up and down as far. It really keeps it really controlled, but it looks really harsh, Dorsey, but the lap time is there, so it must be working.
And it's not running off tires either, so I mean, whatever it is working.
8-Star team hungry for a victory. They do not have one yet this year. There's the 94, the leader in GT Daytona. About a second in hand over Lee Keane.
He actually looks very, very nice, very mellow.
Lee Keen just ran his fastest race lap at 2:11.3. Fastest race lap in GTD is Dane Cameron at 2:10.8, but Lee Keen is coming.
It's going to be a big day if the 22 can finish ahead of the 5.55 of Townsend Bell and Bill Sweetler, and a problem for the 25. Rahal pushing so hard he just left the racetrack.
I don't see any damage to it yet, but see what this looks like.
Turn 7 again, Dorsey. Had a lot of problems there over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, and I said it. More cars go out there, they dig that hole deeper and deeper, and it's a little bit abusive to the left rear, left front too, for that matter.
Now he's got to make up that ground he lost. He was having a hard time getting by, so now he's got to work his way back up and try it all over again. And he's running out of time. Just over 4 minutes to go.
Sometimes that's the slap in the face you need, though, to pull out some monster laps.
Kind of this guy, the 85 car, Steven Simpson, what a run he's having. He's closing down on these guys.
He is. He had a problem earlier at the exit of turn 3, but he's closed it back. Now Osnegre dropping a little further back from the rear wing of the Corvette of Joao Barbosa. Ryan DL hanging right there in third.
This would be a shot in the arm for Mike Shank Racing, though, getting a podium here. They've been strong here at Road America over the years, many top 5 finishes, but right now sitting on the podium.
I don't think they've ever finished outside the top 5 here at Road America.
Yeah, but don't count down DL.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's a bulldog, man. He's trying hard.
Best finish so far for Mike Shank Racing was Detroit with a 4th. Go back to GTLM.
That's not helping matters. No. Have to run side by side with him. Prototype car.
Yeah, Dirk Mueller doesn't want to give it up because there's an ebb and flow to where the strengths and weaknesses are of these various classes here, and he can see that Ferrari disappearing away from him, and coming in his rearview mirror is Bomarito in that 93 machine. Yeah. He'll want every point he can get to try and close down on the Corvette in the championship.
Right now, looking back through timing and scoring, find the 3 back in 6th place. Bomarito being shown in 3rd. He can pick up another position. It's a couple more points to separate. It's huge.
Now with the prototype car splitting those two, I don't see any way to get around it. The Ferrari's starting to take off and leave.
And Bomarito closing down on the 56.
And I tell you what, hats off to the Action Express crew. They have continued to execute every step of the way. Indianapolis, everyone was amazed at the fuel efficiency that they were getting, but they were on top of that very early in the race. That really paid dividends at the end. Today, they made the perfect calls here in terms of when to make their pit stops, and that's why they've assumed the lead of this motor race.
And you're an easy target when you're winning races or leading championships, that people point and say, well, they've got this that's better and that's better. They've been executing extremely well, as you pointed out. Sean Rahal doing all he can do to chase down Ringer Van de Zande. As I said, 25 team has not had a victory so far this season. Van de Zande has. GT Daytona, Dane Cameron looking for a victory.
They're looking for their 3rd win of the year. The one thing that concerns me, they only took 2 tires on their last pit stop, so Dane is probably going to have to try and hang on here. Here comes that Porsche about a 2.5 seconds behind. Jan Halen having a great run there, and the number 58 car currently runs 3rd. Bleekemolen in 4th, and our championship leader, Townsend Bell, back in 5th.
Well, they're going to have it one more time around. It's somewhere in that area anyway, 2 at the most.
But that's another huge points swing in a championship in GTD. If Townsend Bell finishes 5th and Lee Keen and Cooper McNeil finish 2nd, they will close in. Only 9 points separated them in the championship, and it is tight for 2nd in GTLM.
This is going to be a long minute for Dirk Mueller to try and hang on to this position.
Just hang on for a minute. Yeah, you hang on for a minute.
Watch the difference here. He's starting to close.
Oh, he's going to come.
He's coming right up in there.
Now you're trying to guess which way is he going to go and take the other side.
Mueller going to make him go the long way, but will he have him cleared by the time they get to the brake zone?
You can expect
if he's going to dive over to the left. No, Mueller's still there. He's going to take it in really deep.
That's the only choice he had.
Bomarito's going to have to talk off the corner. Great job by Dirk Mueller carrying apex speed, so Bomarito couldn't come back at him.
It shows you just how good the BMW is under braking.
Well, Mueller needs to get a gap right here before he gets back to that uphill straightaway. If they're going to get the checkered flag with that uphill straightaway, this Viper is going to really start to pull up on him.
Key for him is, I think the leaders may get 1 more lap, so that means that Dirk Mueller's got to do another 1.5 laps. This will not be the final lap of the race, I don't feel, for Dirk Mueller, because here we have the overall lead. He's going to cross the stripe with still time on the board, so I mean Mueller's going to have 1.5 laps to go.
Yep. 11, 9, 8, 7, One more lap, and Dirk Mueller's going, you got to be kidding me. Why couldn't you have slowed down?
I would have thought these guys could have controlled a little bit better than that. Come on.
You could have slowed it up a couple seconds and it'd be over with now.
Those other guys aren't far away, but what a day for this team if they can hang on.
And that's going to give Sean Rahal one more lap to try to do something with Van der Zande. But I just don't see that happening. That gap has stayed pretty constant.
The shame for Van der Zande, they had a mechanical failure at Indianapolis. They scored 0 points on the day. Otherwise, they'd be really close to the 54 car in the points. And with the 54 car having troubles today, suddenly this championship could have been really tight this evening.
Give Steven Simpson one more lap, though, and he's having that great run you were talking about in 3rd place.
Pierre Caffer continuing to control GT Le Mans.
What a bounce back it would be for Ricci if they could win a race here this season.
He's going to get up there by turn 1. He's going to get that blocked away from him.
He's got to be thinking about the championship, though, remember. Dirk Mueller's really not in championship contention. Bomarito is. Don't throw it all away for 2 more points on the board.
We've gained a handful. We can gain another 1 or 2, but don't throw it away for 1 or 2.
But it's safe to run him hard in the straightaway, and that's what that Viper's going to do.
Dane Cameron up the hill one last time. He'll see the white flag.
He's looking strong. He's got 3 check marks he needs to make in terms of straightaways. This is one of them. Yeah, another one down to 5, and then the back straight. Look at this, Bleekemolen all over Jan Halen here for the 3rd spot. He looks to the outside.
Good,
wow.
Give it a bump for sure.
Halen's not going to give that to him. This could get ugly.
Wow, Jan Halen runs him all the way to the edge of the racetrack and then some.
He could get a love tap here from Giron, I think.
Yeah, with not much love in it.
Leader Joao Barbosa coming to the checkered flag through turn 14 one last time and up the hill. Action Express will take another victory, and most importantly, they win at Road America and extend a championship points lead. Prototype
look at Rahal, he's really close.
He is close, he's right there, 2 car lengths.
Giving it everything for his first win.
He's going to come up just short as Ringer Van der Zande, Starworks, they win at Road America and Prototype Challenge.
Wow, and remember that battle off pit lane. That may have won them the day.
Yep. For Risi Competizione, Pierre Caffer controlling the pace up through 13.
2nd place is going to be at the wire. It's going to come right up the hill.
1 more corner for Caffer and 1 more corner for Bomarito to get a run.
1 more straightaway, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And an uphill. Bomarito on it early, but not able to close just yet. Checker flag is going to fall.
Your pit crew won it for you. They put you up front. Nice job.
Risi Competizione wins at Road America, and Jonathan Bomarito comes up just short in his bid for 2nd. Great job by Dirk Mueller. Dane Cameron controlling GTD with authority over the last several laps. Lee Keen right there in 2nd place has not been able to close the gap, but he will close the gap in the championship. But Jeroen Bleekemolen trying to get past Jan Halen as they come onto the front straightaway. But for Dane Cameron and Turner Motorsports, they win at Road America.
Good job, thank you, good job.
Great stories from Wisconsin this weekend. Strategy and a little bit of luck, I should say, brought the victory for many of these competitors. Back at Road America, and if you like what you saw today, well, the next race is from VIR, Virginia International Raceway, August 24th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1, and that is one heck of a racetrack as well. High speed, the S is there, always exciting. Talk about exciting. We said it took strategy, it took speed for the victory here. And number 5 from Action Express takes another win this season, Jamie.
2nd in a row, 3rd for the season. Joao, when we look at the points championship, you guys said you weren't even thinking about it coming into this race. What does this victory do to that?
I have no words. What a great team result. The Corvette was awesome. I mean, Action Express did a tremendous job in pit lane. We had a small issue, they fixed it. The car was super fast. What a great car they gave us. Great pit stops. ECR engine was awesome today, and the Continental tires, I was pushing all the way. They were awesome. I did my fastest lap just at the end of the race. Man, what a crazy day. Unbelievable. Better than that, what a great points day. Christian did a fantastic first stint. We had a misunderstanding with the 10 car, but you know, sometimes what goes around comes around, and what a great points day.
Well, for you and for Christian, congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome day for them. Let's take a look at our BMW race results. Christian Fittipaldi, Joao Barbosa, great strategy, but some bad luck on the part of the 10.
Absolutely, and a good rebound for the 90 team starting from the back of the pack. But I think if they'd made the same pit call, they could have been further up in that order.
Talk about a big points day. Joao Barbosa said it, and there it is. 16-point gap now between Barbosa and Fittipaldi. Back to the Taylor brothers. Set down to Chris Neville.
Well, Giancarlo Fisichella and Pierre Caffer get their first win of the year. And Pierre, really tough day for you guys. You qualified ninth. You had to come deep in the pack, but your pit crew gave you a great track position.
Yeah, I think the major key today was the whole Risi Competizione crew. I mean, they did an awesome job today. We did so many practice. We practiced so many times the pit stops, and today everything went together, and I think that was the cue. I'm really happy, and thanks to Giuseppe. I mean, he is a really guy. He has really passion to be in this category, and thanks to Ferrari and Michelin, and also to Giancarlo. He did a fantastic job in the beginning.
Well, they give the victory to Giuseppe Risi, his first of the year.
First TUDOR United SportsCar Championship win for Risi. There's a look at the GT Le Mans points. Garcia and Magnussen, that points lead shrunk as well. As Kuno Whitmer able to move forward.
Tightened up, and there's not much racing left to do this year, so that's an outstanding effort for everyone.
And we talk about the Vipers being so strong. They're moving forward. Talk about moving. What about the Audi move of the race? It didn't happen on the racetrack.
Well, it was coming out of pit lane, and ultimately it gave Renger van der Zande the track position. Look at this battle here between he and Sean Rahal. They're going to make contact right here. And from there on, the number 8 Martini car hung on for the victory.
Yeah, that's exactly the way they finished. 1-2, just like that. Let's go to Jamie.
Well, Mirko just made his way down to victory circle. Big hug, big celebration. Renger, that was a great stint there at the end of this race. How hard were you pushing?
I mean, it was all done in the beginning. Mirko did a great job. He put it in second in the first stint. He remained the position a long way. We did a bit different strategy, but felt us back a little bit. But after that, the team called me in, went for the pit stop on third position, and I came out first. So, I mean, a great job by Star Wars. It's a great team. I love my team, I would say. They really did it this time, and after that, for me, it was controlling the race. So I'm really happy. I'm very happy for the team, for Mirko, and of course, you know, the second win of the season. So you don't hear me complaining today, at least.
No, congratulations.
Yeah, it was hard fought, and so was GT Daytona, but here's how the points play out for Prototype Challenge. Not a good day for John Bennett and Colin Brown, and yet they still maintain a 35-point margin back to Van der Zande. Let's check in with Chris in GT Daytona.
Well, Turner Motorsports won at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. They won at the 6 Hours of the Glen, and Dane Cameron, Marcus Patella, they get the third win of the year. Dane, we usually don't see this type of domination in GTD, but you had it out front all day. Really no pressure.
I wouldn't say that. It was pretty tough, I think. Well, we were out front most of the time. We just had to be there. We had to keep ourselves out in front, keep ourselves in the game, because being that far down on top speed, there was no way we were going to overtake anybody. So if we lost a single spot, we were never going to get it back. So the name of the game was to stay out front all day for us. We took two Continental tires on that stop, so the right sides did almost 2 hours for me, which was awesome. That was a perfect call. Made sure we got out with a bit of a gap, and we were just able to play the traffic just right. Marcus did an awesome job at the beginning, so thank you very much to Turner Motorsport, BMW Northwest, everybody. This is incredible.
Congrats, guys.
Strong performance.
I think that two-tire call, they had to do it to maintain that track position, but look how it's tightened up. Cooper McNeil, Lee Keen, only 3 points out of the lead now. Cameron chasing hard.
Yeah, Bill Sweedler and Townsend Bell had 9 points in hand when they came in here. Let's go back to Jamie.
Well, for John Pugh and Oz Negri, first podium of the season. Sounds strange to say, but what was the deciding factor here?
Well, motor racing is, it's a pretty, how can I say? It's a deal full of bad days. But one good day like this one make up for all the bad days. That's where we should be. Thank you for Ford, my team, Michael Shank Racing, Continental tires that, you know, were fantastic under our car. My teammate, as always, doing a good job. And, you know, I'm just so happy to be here.
Congratulations.
Great weekend for Mike Shank.
Well, I love this racetrack because it brings exactly what it did here today. Great race on the racetrack, and the points battle tighter. A couple of races left, Cal.
Well, this is a long racetrack, and I think for all of the winners here today in the various classes, all of the teams executed perfectly. Strategy was so important, and they did it right.
Well, for Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville, Jamie Howe, thanks for joining us for the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. And guess what? You just saw the points. It is far from over. Make sure you stay with us all season long, all the way to the championship. You'll see it right here on Fox Sports.